Chapter 4033. Xiao Hua's hand had just touched the medicinal pill. Wang! The medicinal pill unexpectedly issued a roaring sound like a magic treasure. However, even though the medicinal pill seemed to have spirituality, and jumped a few times, it still obediently fell into Xiao Hua's left hand, smoothly exceeding Xiao Hua's expectations. But at the same time, before Xiao Hua's right hand could touch the crystal dragon, roar! The crystal dragon suddenly moved, turning into a stream of light and flying in the direction Xiao Hua came from. Damn it! Although Xiao Hua had obtained the medicinal pills, he still felt very uncomfortable seeing the little crystal dragon fly away. Cursing under his breath, he sent the medicinal pills into his space and chased after it. After chasing for a while, Xiao Hua suddenly realized that the path the crystal dragon flew was exactly the same as the path he flew in. Even when he came in previously, it would appear again when he stopped at certain places. Damn it, it can't be! Xiao Hua woke up. Could it be, this crystal dragon accidentally entered this space passage? It has been waiting for a dragon to come and find it? If this crystal dragon is like this, then what about the dragon pill? Could it have also entered here by mistake? While Xiao Hua was thinking, the crystal dragon had already flown out of the light pattern. The timing was really just right. Xiao Hua had no choice but to wait at the place where the light pattern was, waiting for the next time to disappear before coming out of the space passage. After coming out, Xiao Hua flew out of the space passage and flew towards where Ao Xing and Ao Zhan were. However, when Xiao Hua flew back, Ao Xing and Ao Zhan were already gone. Humph! Xiao Hua sneered. Needless to say, the crystal dragon must have appeared. The two dragons chased after it at the same time. Neither of them wanted this mysterious dragon to fall into the other's hands. Xiao Hua stopped for a while, then flew towards the entrance of the deep airlock. After leaving the ring-shaped mountain, the restrictions that were previously all over the place had disappeared. Xiao Hua released his Yuanshin, but he didn't see any dragons, monsters, or humans around. It was quiet. Xiao Hua thought for a while, then sat down cross-legged and his mind entered the space. In the space, the pill he just received turned into a flame that was dozens of feet large and floated in the air. On the surface of the flame, there were tens of thousands of tiny vortexes. In the center of these vortexes were strands of crystal silk, which was the unique brilliance of the space. This Jade Archive. Xiao Hua looked at the huge medicinal pill, and his face immediately showed an expression of not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Damn it, this might really be a dragon pill. The elixir refined by the dragon god in the dragon domain. Even if it was not consumed by the dragon race, it was definitely not something that ordinary Dao sect cultivators could consume. With such a tremendous medicinal strength, even if it was me, I would still explode from the medicinal strength. If I had guessed correctly, the pill from the upper realm must have been left behind in the space vein and was flushed into the space passage with no exit by the dragon chi. Now I had obtained it by chance. Sigh, what a pity. So what if I get it? Just look at it, and don't consume it. As he spoke, Xiao Hua saw Xiaogua, who had always been diligent, standing there and looking at the medicinal pill as if she was worshipping it. Her eyes were filled with shock. Oh? Xiaogua, what did you see? Jade Archive. Xiao Hua asked curiously. Reporting to Master. Xiaogua's gaze was reluctant to move away from the medicinal pill, and she replied. I saw the alchemy technique that Master taught me before in the flames, and I also saw other alchemy techniques that I have never learned before. It can be like this. Jade Archive. Xiao Hua looked at the flaming medicinal pill in disbelief. Unfortunately, even if he was Jade Archive Xiao Hua, he still could not see anything from the flames. Master, Xiaogua asked timidly, can I use those alchemy techniques to refine medicinal pills? Of course you can, why not? Jade Archive Xiao Hua immediately replied with a smile. Xiaogua, the more you can refine and better medicinal pills, the happier this old man will be. Thank you, Master! Xiaogua was overjoyed and looked at the sky with even more focus. Sigh, I worked hard for nothing. Jade Archive Xiao Hua sighed and withdrew from the space. After waiting for another half a day, seeing that Ao Xing and Ao Zhan had not returned, Xiaohua stood up and smiled. Hee, since Ao Xing is not coming back, then don't blame this Xiao for not keeping his promise. This Xiao will go find the dragon cleansing pool myself. Xiaohua originally did not know where the dragon cleansing pool was. In the deep air lake, he had forced Ao Xing to reveal some vague clues. At that time, Ao Xing had agreed to go with Xiaohua, but now that there was an unforeseen event, Xiaohua could only look for it himself. Beside a stream, outside 2 mountains, 3 dragons playing with a pearl, 4 seasons alternating. Xiaohua randomly picked a direction and flew, pondering as he flew. What does this mean? Is it the location of the dragon cleansing pool, or the place where it appears? This sentence was naturally transmitted to Xiaohua by Ao Xing, but unfortunately, Xiaohua still did not understand the meaning of this sentence. After flying for the time it took to eat a meal, Xiaohua frowned and descended from the sky. This was because below him, in the valley, there were not only huge amounts of dragon crystals, but also dozens of badly mutilated dragon bodies. Just like what he saw before, many of the dragon bodies had their hearts cut by sharp blades. Sigh, the dragon palace of the 4 seas. After witnessing the confrontation between Ao Zhan, Ao Tao, and the Dragon Hall's great elder, Xiaohua increasingly felt that the dragon race was much smarter than ordinary monster race. In terms of scheming, they even surpassed the human race. Since the dragon island was like this, then how bad could the dragon palace of the 4 seas be? Xiaohua could not help but sigh inwardly. This must be for some benefits. They recklessly attacked in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Xiaohua collected the dozens of dragon bodies, and also collected the huge amount of huge rocks. Only then did he fly into the sky and fly far away. Right after Xiaohua flew away, a strange shadow slowly rose from the depression in the mountain peak in the distance. It stared at Xiaohua's back for a long time. Xiaohua naturally did not know that there was a shadow behind him that even his own Yuanshin did not notice. He only released his Yuanshin to explore the surroundings. After all, in the verse there was beside a stream, so he naturally had to find the stream first. The stacked Jade Legacy realm was very strange. There was no stream at all, let alone a lake. This was very inconsistent with the dragon island located in the 4 seas. It was also because of this that Xiaohua was confident that he could find the dragon cleansing pool. After all, as long as he could see the stream, it meant that the dragon cleansing pool was close by. After flying for a few more days, Xiaohua did not find the stream, but he did find a lot of dragon crystals and piled them up in the space. On this day, another winding mountain range appeared. Without waiting for Xiaohua to stop, a few unfamiliar Yuanshin swept over from the mountain range. When these Yuanshin swept past Xiaohua, they immediately locked onto Xiaohua. A few dragon roars could be heard from below the mountain range. 5 huge dragons of different colors surrounded Xiaohua with clouds. The light red dragon in front opened its mouth and shouted loudly, "Are you Dao Sex Xiaohua?" Just when the Yuanshin locked onto Xiaohua, Xiaohua already sensed that something was wrong. Unfortunately, his flying technique was not fast enough in this place. The 5 huge dragons easily surrounded him. When he heard the huge dragons speak, Xiaohua's heart skipped a beat. He knew that he had encountered trouble. He pondered for a bit, then cupped his hands and said, "That's right, I am Xiaohua. I wonder why fellow Immortal is looking for I. Where's Ao Xing?" Another dark blue huge dragon released his Yuanshin and looked around, then asked. Xiaohua shook his head. "I was with Ao Xing earlier, but for some reason, he suddenly left because of some matters. After that, I never saw him again. Haha, I'm afraid he has already died in the experiential learning." A yellow huge dragon laughed loudly. "Ao Xing's life and death has nothing to do with you or me." The huge dragon that spoke first said, "We only need to kill him." "Humph, just a human cultivator. I don't know how you got the favor of the Dragon Palace Elder to actually come to the stacked Jade Legacy realm for experiential learning." A light gray huge dragon seemed to be very dissatisfied with Xiaohua entering the stacked Jade Legacy realm first. He snorted coldly, like a huge thunderbolt, and muttered. The last purple-hued dragon that didn't speak until now said coldly, "Why are you saying so much? Just kill this despicable human. Second brother already passed the information to us. If he didn't ruin things, this king could have completely taken over the heavenly abode river after returning to the Dragon Palace from the Dragon Island. And now, all the credit is taken away by second brother. You!" Hearing the purple-hued dragon's words, Xiaohua was shocked. He hurriedly shouted, "You are the dragon race of the North Sea Dragon Palace? You are the 7th Prince Bayan?" Roar! Hearing Xiaohua call him Bayan, the 7th Prince was furious. He raised his head and roared, "Human, this daddy is the 7th Prince of the North Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Jing. Don't associate this daddy with that tiger-shaped thing. That thing is only this daddy's descendant, it is only fit to be carried in the mortal world's government." Xiaohua's eyes turned quickly. Looking around, he said with some fear, "Since the second prince has already returned to the Dragon Palace, then the dragon race of the Heavenly Abode River was also captured by him. What's the use of venting your anger on I now? Damn human, you ruined my North Sea Dragon Palace's great matter, ruined this king's good thing. How can this king spare you?" Ao Zheng roared. Waving his dragon claws, he shouted at the other dragons, "Don't talk to him anymore, Ao Yen, you and the others attack. After looking for him for so many days, he finally ran into our subordinates, don't let him escape." Roar! The 4 huge dragons roared, baring their fangs and claws as they rushed towards Xiaohua. Xiaohua's eyes flashed fiercely as he saw that this was not going to end well. With a loud shout, he took out the wishful staff and flew towards the light gray dragon, Ao Yen, without activating the Heavenly Law's embodiment technique. Although Xiaohua's figure was tall and thin, in front of Ao Yan's gigantic dragon form, he was truly insignificant. However, the dragon aura around Ao Yan's body surged, filling up the space within 1,000 feet. When Xiaohua neared, a fishy smell came from within the dragon's scales. The dragon claws seemed to be piercing through tens of thousands of sharp swords, enveloping Xiaohua's surroundings and piercing towards him. -13. Chapter 40-34. Woo! The wishful steel staff stirred the dragon chi and smashed into Ao Yan's dragon claw. Before it could get close, the wind from the dragon claw was extinguished. Moreover, just as Ao Yan was shocked and wanted to avoid the wishful steel staff and grab Xiaohua's body, the wishful steel staff hit the side of the dragon claw at an extremely strange angle. Ah! Ao Yan screamed and the dragon claw immediately collapsed. Looking at Xiaohua again, his figure suddenly urged, wanting to use the power of the staff to escape the encirclement of the 5 dragons. Ha ha ha! Unfortunately, before Xiaohua could fly more than 100 feet, a thunderous cyan spear appeared in front of Xiaohua. The dark blue dragon that was previously on the side of Xiaohua showed a human form, and the long spear crossed the sky and pointed at Xiaohua's chest. "Second Prince is right, the human race is the most cunning. We just started to fight, and you want to escape before even a move and a half. This kind of thinking. How is this the demeanor of a master?" Boom! Xiaohua did not dare to neglect. He waved the wishful steel staff and sent the long spear flying. At the same time, his figure retreated. When he squinted his eyes and looked around, he found that he was still under the siege of the 5 dragons. Except for the position of the 7th Prince Ao Jing, the position of the other 4 dragons had changed. Even the 5 dragons had shrunk their dragon bodies and turned into human form in order to trap him. "Grandma, this? I'm afraid it's a kind of array formation of the North Sea Dragon Palace." Xiaohua was a master of array formations. Now, he understood at a glance and secretly complained. "I'm afraid my plan to escape with the help of a small body will not work." Xiaohua had already fought with Ao Yan. Although he injured Ao Yan, now looking at Ao Yan's indifferent appearance, and the teasing look in her eyes, it was obvious that he had deliberately injured himself before to reveal his true purpose. Xiaohua was now accustomed to the cunning of the dragon clan. He roared and displayed the heavenly law embodiment technique. He waved the wishful steel staff and flew toward the light red dragon clan. As early as in the Dragon Palace Hall, the Great Elder had already told Xiaohua about the strangeness of the stacked jade legacy realm. Naturally, Xiaohua was already prepared in his heart. Although all magical powers such as divine thoughts could not be used, he relied on the monster body and the dragon vein to still be at ease in the stacked jade legacy realm. He even broke Ao Jiao's Lihan heaven. Xiaohua gradually threw the Great Elder's words to the back of his mind. He felt that by relying on his own monster race cultivation method, he could also get whatever he wanted. But now that he had encountered Ao Jing and the other 4 dragons whose elemental power was around the 6th or 7th grade, Xiaohua realized that his monster race cultivation was still too shallow. Compared with these old monsters who had lived for tens of thousands of years and cultivated for thousands of years, he was too far away. Seeing that Xiaohua had transformed into his Transcendence golden body, the North Sea Dragon clan knew that Xiaohua had given up on escaping and was ready to fight to the death. The group of dragons also urged their dragon chi and revealed their dragon bodies. When the light red dragon clan saw Xiaohua flying over, he also opened his mouth and a flame spear fell into his hand. He danced and fought with Xiaohua. The North Sea Dragon Palace originally had a foundation. The dragons who could follow Ao Jing to participate in the stacked jade legacy realm were naturally the elites of the North Sea Dragon Palace. The magical powers of this light red dragon clan were not inferior to Xiaohua's. Under the dragon chi of the stacked jade legacy realm, he was even more valiant than Xiaohua. Seeing that Xiaohua was already at a disadvantage, Ao Jing and the other dragons gradually relaxed their vigilance. The 4 dragons only guarded the 4 corners to prevent Xiaohua from escaping and did not particularly press him. Xiaohua seemed to be focused on the fight with the light red dragon clan, but the light in his eyes was still looking around. When he saw the 4 dragons relax, his figure immediately burst out, and the wishful steel staff soared, hitting the opponent. The light red dragon clan was naturally shocked. The long spear danced, and the end of the spear swept across. Boom! The spear collided with the wishful steel staff, but this time, it was somewhat beyond the dragon's expectations. The force from Xiaohua's wishful steel staff was stronger than before, and the dragon's long spear was somewhat bent. The dragon hurriedly urged his dragon chi, and his strength rose again. At this moment, Xiaohua's wishful steel staff shrank, and his whole body fell down extremely strangely with the force of the long spear. Ah! The dragon was stunned, but in a flash, he understood. His body moved, and the long spear chased after him. He shouted, "Second Prince, this cunning human still wants to escape." However, before he finished speaking, where the long spear was pointing, Xiaohua's figure suddenly disappeared. Even if he swept with his primordial thought, he could not find any trace at all. "Quick!" In the distance, Ao Yen shouted. "Ao Ding, you continue to chase. I will chase above. Don't let him create a diversion. Ao Yu, check the left. Ao Long, check the right." Ao Zheng's face was also red, and he seemed to be a little angry. He had been stable and motionless all this time, but now he could not help but move. He ordered and flew down. "Seventh King," the yellow dragon Ao Yu hurriedly reminded. "Don't worry, let's stabilize the formation. Got it?" Ao Jing waved his dragon claws impatiently. "You and the others, quickly kill this human, yes!" Ao Yu and the others released their primordial thought to search around, and although Ao Jing said that he would not move, his body still flew up. As he flew up, the space that was previously sealed by the 5 dragon auras began to have some gaps, and the dragon chi from outside began to pour in. However, Ao Jing seemed to be a little anxious, and did not care about this. His dragon head looked around, worried that Xiaohua would take advantage of the chaos to escape. Suddenly, Ao Jing stretched out his claws, and a purple spear appeared out of thin air, piercing towards the slanted space above without any warning. Pun! With a loud sound, at the tip of the spear, circles of ripples appeared, and the space was slightly distorted. Behind these ripples, Xiaohua's figure was revealed. That spear pierced into Xiaohua's arm, and Xiaohua's face was not only filled with pain, but also extreme shock. Ha! Ao Jing laughed loudly, and at the same time, the 4 dragons who released their primordial thought to search around also laughed. They all stopped, and their figures cooperated with Ao Jing, surrounding Xiaohua in a formation. You guys already knew? Xiaohua's right hand landed on the spear that pierced into his arm, and he asked in surprise. Ao Jing said proudly, "Cunning human! Don't you know the magical powers of the Dragon King's 9 sons? Just now you called this king Baiyan, and in just a moment you forgot about Baiyan's magical powers?" Xiaohua thought for a moment, and sighed. This Xiao really forgot. Baiyan is enshrined in the court of justice, naturally because Baiyan is very observant, and nothing in the world can be hidden from his eyes. So you, the Dragon King's 7th prince, also have this magical power. Since you know, then die. Ao Jing laughed sinisterly, and his dragon claws suddenly became thicker, and even dragon scales appeared on the spear, and drilled into Xiaohua's body. Xiaohua sneered, and with a wave of his hand, the spear that had almost transformed into a dragon shape was grabbed by the neck, and no matter how it struggled, it could not escape. Damn it! Ao Jing urged his dragon power, but he actually could not pull out the spear, and he unconsciously lost face. He immediately understood that when he was plotting against Xiaohua, Xiaohua also played a small trick on him. Roar! Dragon patterns appeared on Ao Jing's body, and he madly pounced towards Xiaohua, and his dragon claws involuntarily exerted strength again. Woo! Xiaohua suddenly loosened his grip, and his whole body floated away like a paper man, and disappeared in a moment. My lord! Ao Ding and the other dragons were shocked. If Xiaohua escaped at this time, it would really be a big loss of face. Ao Jing did not say anything, and a blue light flashed on his dragon horn, and like a thunderbolt, a brilliance flew everywhere, and the space around thousands of feet around was torn apart by this brilliance. But Xiaohua, who was good at escaping, was not in this space at all. Damn it! Ao Jing roared, and the dragon scales on his body emitted a rare purple cloud, and the entire cloud rushed into the space like a hurricane, wreaking havoc in places where the brilliance could not find. However, Xiaohua seemed to have disappeared into thin air, and there was no sign of him appearing at all. Phew! Ao Jing exhales and raises his head to look at the 4 dragons who want to speak but don't dare to. He suddenly laughs. Damn it! No wonder second brother said that this Xiaohua is cunning. This king still unknowingly fell into his scheme. Forget it, why is this king wasting time with him? As he spoke, Ao Jing opened his mouth, and a faint purple dragon breath came out, and then a fist-sized dragon pearl flew out, supported by the dragon breath. The dragon pearl's brilliance was faint, but where the brilliance went, all the dragon chi showed the shape of dragon patterns, and at the top of the space, in a corner, Xiaohua's figure appeared. Roar! The one closest to Xiaohua was the deep blue dragon Ao Long, and Xiaohua was at the edge of his perception. If he moved slightly, as long as the 5 dragons relaxed in the slightest, Xiaohua would immediately escape through this gap, and Ao Long could not help but cry out in alarm. Xiaohua sighed when he saw that the light had appeared and his body was exposed. Without the escape techniques that he usually had, in front of these 5 giant dragons whose elemental energy was around the 7th level, he was doomed. Ao Long cried out in alarm, and also opened his mouth, taking out a jade bottle-like dragon weapon, and then a brilliance rushed out from the dragon weapon, and the nearby dragon chi crazily rushed in, only to see a waterfall rushing out from the dragon weapon, smashing towards Xiaohua. Seeing the surging water, each drop of water containing great power, Xiaohua not only did not panic, but a trace of melancholy appeared on his face. In the past, he relied on the innate true water to kill countless enemies, but now, he was blocked by a dragon using the same Dao method. Roar! Xiaohua did not dodge, and the heavenly law's embodiment of earth rapidly absorbed the dragon chi, and strands of dragon patterns also appeared on the surface of his bronze body. Swish! Ao Long's jade water rushed onto Xiaohua's Dharma body without any suspense, and not only did countless water sparks appear, even the surrounding space was somewhat distorted by these splashes of water. However, what made Ao Long stunned was that Xiaohua's body only flashed brilliantly, and the splashes of water did not cause any harm to Xiaohua at all. -13. Chapter 40-35. No way? Ao Long was a little absent-minded. The dragon weapon in his hand also awkwardly stopped in midair. Of course, he didn't think that Xiaohua's body would be reborn in the blood pool. How could his dragon weapon injure him? Woo! Xiaohua took advantage of Ao Long's distraction and swung his wishful staff. Boom! It hit the dragon weapon. A burst of splendor splashed, like a silver bottle leaking. Countless splashes seeped out from the cracked dragon weapon, causing Ao Long to be flustered. I'll meet Taoist Master Xiao! The light red dragon Ao Ding hurriedly came out from the side. He opened his mouth and a fiery red ring came out. The ring rushed out and immediately ignited with flames. The flames were blue and purple, scorching the space within 1,000 feet. Xiaohua sneered. Since he started cultivating, when was he afraid of going overboard? He was about to wave the wishful staff in his hand when he heard Ao Jing, who was beside him, roaring. Don't do anything! All of you go together! Kill him as soon as possible! Once this matter is over, we still have the more important 4Cs debate. Okay. Hearing Ao Zheng's anger, Ao Ding and the other dragons didn't dare to be negligent. They hurriedly urged their dragon qi and surrounded Xiaohua. At the same time, they took out their dragon weapons and attacked Xiaohua at the same time. Cunning dragons! Xiaohua shouted. 4 7th-grade dragons actually besieged Xiaohua, a human. If this spread out, I'll be laughed at. Haha, Xiaohua, you're wrong! Ao Zheng laughed. They're only 6th-grade elemental energy. Only with the help of dragon qi here can they have the strength of upper 6th grade. Their cultivation should be about the same as yours. Moreover, do you think you can escape from me today? Can others hear your grievances? Okay, Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and sneered. In that case, I have no choice but to fall out with the North Sea Dragon Palace. I don't have any face to begin with, so it doesn't matter. Xiaohua, you're overestimating yourself. At this moment, Ao Zheng's figure also started to move. His ability was the highest, and should be at the middle stage of the 7th grade of origin power. However, he was the same as Ao Jing. Other than the fact that he was a little angry previously and lost his composure, he did not particularly step forward during the fight. As Xiaohua's voice fell, the bronze brilliance around Xiaohua's body gradually retracted. Shortly after, his arms and other parts of his body began to mutate. Command edicts that were harder than sharp swords were born. An aura of disdain for the entire world was born from Xiaohua's body. This aura grew denser and denser, and in the end, it actually forced the 5 dragons to fly back several thousand meters. Jie! Just as the 5 dragons were once again dumbfounded, the heavenly phoenix's demonic body, the phoenix parasol tree, appeared. The phoenix parasol tree raised its head and let out a long cry. The dragon qi and the surrounding hundreds of kilometers swarmed into the phoenix parasol tree, and the flame-like phantom around the phoenix parasol tree swayed wildly. Woo! After the phoenix parasol tree appeared, it did not give Ao Jing and the other dragons a chance to catch their breath. It stretched out its twin thorns and the phoenix beak pierced through the void, directly pecking at Ao Yu's forehead. The phoenix parasol tree's claws, which were even more arrogant than Ao Yu's dragon claws, carried an unparalleled amount of dragon qi as it sharply scratched at Ao Yu's chest. Roar! Ao Yu was stunned at first, but then he went berserk. As he roared, his dragon body expanded by 3 times and he pounced at the phoenix parasol tree. Rumble! The dragon and phoenix fought fiercely, and the dragon qi exploded. Pieces of flesh and territory flew out amidst the explosion. Although Ao Yu's dragon body was not as tough as the phoenix parasol tree's phoenix body, his control of the dragon body and the use of dragon qi far surpassed the phoenix parasol tree's. Although the phoenix parasol tree's dragon body was torn to pieces, Aou also used his dragon tail to entangle the phoenix parasol tree's wings. The dragon armor on his dragon head even took the opportunity to pierce two large, bloody holes in the phoenix parasol tree's arms. Roar! Just as the phoenix parasol tree's left claw was about to pierce Aou's abdomen, Aoding roared and pounced from the phoenix parasol tree's back, flames shooting out of his mouth and nose. Damn it! Though the phoenix parasol tree wasn't afraid of the flames, he didn't dare underestimate Aoding when he saw his back. He spread his wings and ignored the injured Aou, preparing to meet Aoding's attack. But right at this moment, an invisible restriction appeared around his body like shackles, and began to restrict his movements. This is bad! Alarmed, the phoenix parasol tree hurriedly looked around. Aojing, who'd been standing quietly, was now swimming around him with the other three dragons. Clouds of gray, blue, red, yellow, and purple surged out of the 5 dragons' bodies. These clouds intertwined with the dragon chi and spun for nearly 1,000 miles. The chains that were imprisoning the phoenix parasol were clearly born from these clouds. Damn it, so this is the real purpose of the North Sea Dragon Palace's dragon formation. The phoenix parasol tree finally understood. The 5 dragons had taken turns to attack him, but it was all a ruse. Ao Zheng's true intention was to trap him to death with the formation. Dragons were truly cunning. Caw! The phoenix parasol tree let out another long cry and flapped his wings. The binding force was greatly reduced, and he reached out with his right claw. An illusory figure suddenly appeared in front of Ao Ding's abdomen. Whoosh! A bloody gash dozens of meters long appeared, and dragon blood flowed out. Wounded by the phoenix parasol tree as soon as they met, Ao Ding hurriedly retreated in fright. Roar! Right at this moment, the image of an enormous dragon suddenly appeared on the phoenix Wu's back. As soon as it appeared, it immediately roared furiously, and then the dragon chi in an area of 500 kilometers seemed to have gone mad and charged towards the dragon and phoenix. Expanses of gorgeous multicolored light suddenly appeared around the dragon and phoenix, and rays of multicolored light were reflected from within the multicolored light. Dragon and phoenix parasol tree? Ao Jing was shocked, and then greed appeared in his eyes. He roared, "Capture this human alive! Capture this demon phoenix alive!" Before Ao Jing could finish speaking, a series of cryptic draconic words came out from the dragon-shaped phantom. As soon as the draconic words appeared, the draconic aura that was madly pouring in suddenly became violent. Balls of draconic aura that were dozens of miles long began to condense. Within a range of 500 miles, countless balls of draconic aura instantly gathered. These balls of dragon chi were like warriors, ready to pounce on Ao Jing. Dragon? Heavenly draconic technique? Ao Jing was completely dumbfounded. Not only did he not expect Xiaohua to know the heavenly draconic technique, but he also didn't expect it to be so powerful. Run! Ao Jing looked at the dense balls of dragon chi within 1,000 miles. His body moved quickly, and he charged straight up into the sky. As soon as Ao Jing rushed up, a flaw appeared in the dragon formation of the 5 dragons. The phoenix parasol tree had no intention of chasing Ao Jing at all. It spread its wings, and its huge body immediately rushed out like a meteor, flying in a certain direction. The moment the phoenix parasol tree rushed out of the encirclement of the 5 dragons, the balls of dragon chi within 1,000 miles suddenly disappeared at the same time. Ao Jing had just rushed 10,000 feet into the sky when he naturally felt the change in the dragon chi. At this time, how could he not know that Xiaohua's heavenly draconic technique was only half-baked and had no power at all? He was actually scared to this extent by Xiaohua's empty fort strategy. It was really a disgrace to the dragons of the North Sea Dragon Palace. Chase! Ao Jing roared and chased after the phoenix parasol tree without stopping. Ao Yu and Ao Ding dragged their injured bodies, and Ao Long and Ao Yen also roared as they chased after it. Although the 5 dragons were heroic, other than Ao Jing, the other 4 dragons had the same thought. Damn it, how can we catch up to such a cunning human? Sure enough, in the time it took to eat a meal, Xiaohua, who was in front of the 5 dragons, had already disappeared. The 5 dragons did not know whether Xiaohua flew away or was hiding in the surroundings. Moreover, other than Aojing, the 4 dragons did not dare to be too far away, for fear that Xiaohua would take the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Roar! Aojing let out a furious roar. He swung his dragon tail and flipped over a small mountain. He then flew to another place. The other 4 dragons shrunk their necks. No one dared to say anything. They followed him with their tails between their legs. 5 dragons with 6th or 7th grade essence energy actually let a human escape in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. If word got out, it would really be a disgrace to the dragons. 2 hours later, at the place where Aojing overturned the small mountain, Xiaohua's figure appeared. Xiaohua, who had successfully escaped from the 5 dragons, actually had a vexed expression on his face. Damn it! This Feng Wu's incarnation was originally reserved for this Xiao to use when walking in the Thousand Demons sacred realm in the future. Now, it was actually forced to reveal by Aojing. What a blunder! Xiaohua thought to himself. But if I don't use the phoenix body, what other divine abilities can this Xiao have? That demonic blade had just been activated once. If I activate it consecutively, perhaps I can kill Aojing, but what about this Xiao? I'm afraid I will also fall into the demonic path, right? Sigh, now that I think about it, this world is really wonderful. This Xiao cultivated Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, demons, and other divine abilities, but here, I can only rely on the demon race's divine abilities to escape. Looks like the saying of the ancients, there's no harm in having more skills, it's really not wrong. Also, this Xiao has seen many demons, and each one of them is all brawn and no brains. But why is this dragon race more cunning than the other? From Aojing to Aozhan, then to Aojing, one scheme after another. They are simply more intelligent than the human race. Fortunately, there's Ao Tao in Deep Air Abyss who values friendship. Otherwise, this Xiao really wouldn't dare to deal with the dragon race in the future. Xiaohua looked at the direction Aojing and the others chased after him. After pondering for a moment, he turned around and flew in another direction. He found a call and hid in it like before. He already understood that in this stacked Jade Legacy realm, the divine abilities related to the dragon race were the most popular. Now, although he had obtained the dragon jade, he only focused on the dragon transformation art. He didn't cultivate the heavenly dragon jade technique in the dragon jade technique. Just now, when he was forced to helplessly by Aojing, Xiaohua suddenly thought of the heavenly dragon jade technique in a hurry. Sure enough, although Xiaohua didn't cultivate it, in this stacked Jade Legacy realm, when Xiaohua slightly used the heavenly dragon jade technique, it immediately had an inconceivable effect. Since that was the case, there was still time. Why didn't Xiaohua comprehend 1 or 2 heavenly dragon jade techniques before looking for the dragon cleansing pool? -13. Chapter 40-36. Xiaohua hid in a secluded place and cultivated for more than a few months. A few months of time was really short for cultivation, not to mention the mysterious heavenly dragon technique. Xiaohua only took a rough look at the heavenly dragon technique in the dragon jade and found 2 extremely simple ones. Moreover, he only tried them for a while before hurriedly flying out of the valley. After all, he didn't know when the training in the stacked Jade Legacy realm would end, and he also didn't know how long he would spend looking for the dragon cleansing pool. Xiaohua flew into the air and looked left and right. The scenery around him didn't change. This time, the interval between the changes in the stacked Jade Legacy realm was a bit long. Xiaohua thought for a while and flew in a direction. Beside a stream, outside 2 mountains, 3 dragons playing with a pearl, 4 seasons alternating. Xiaohua flew aimlessly as he muttered to himself. He scanned the area with his origin force to search for similar clues. Unfortunately, Xiaohua flew for a few more days. Not only did he not find any obvious clues, he didn't even see a single dragon. He didn't even see a huge rock with a dragon crystal hidden in it. It was as if everything in the vicinity had been plundered by the dragon. It's a bit strange. Xiaohua stopped in the air and pondered while pinching his chin. Could it be that in these few months, the stacked jade legacy realm has undergone some changes? Woo! Just as Xiaohua was pondering, a fishy wind suddenly blew from high up in the sky. Xiaohua was startled and hurriedly looked up. However, the place where the wind blew was empty. He could only see the disorder of the dragon qi and couldn't see anything unusual. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and stared at the sky. He was already on guard. The sound of the wind definitely didn't come from nothing. There must be a dragon hiding there. Xiaohua seemed to have already seen the dragon's sharp claws. Xiaohua raised his hand and prepared to attack the space between his eyebrows and open the delirium breaker eye. But at this moment, a very surprised voice came from afar. At the same time, a trace of origin will also swept over. Xiaohua! Who? Xiaohua's heart moved. He raised his eyes and looked towards the source of the voice. Following the sound of the voice, the dragon's aura that made Xiaohua vigilant immediately disappeared. Taoist Master Xiao, do you still remember me? A voice that Xiaohua found familiar came closer. When Xiaohua saw it clearly, he couldn't help but be slightly stunned. He whispered, Immortal friend Xian? Hee, long time no see. I didn't expect fellow Taoist Xian to also come to the stacked jade legacy realm to train. Wasn't the person flying over from afar the former Western Sea Dragon Palace's vice inspector, Xianqing? To an old turtle like Xianqing, a few hundred years had passed in the blink of an eye. Xianqing still looked the same, turning into a short old man less than 3 feet tall. He still had a goatee on his chin, a pair of shifty eyes, and a medium-sized turtle shell on his back. It was exactly the same as Xiaohua's impression. I'm ashamed! Xianqing flew closer and cupped his hands. I originally accompanied my family's third crown prince to participate in Dragon Island's experiential training, but I didn't expect to encounter the opening of the stacked jade legacy realm. I was testing the purity of my bloodline in the Dragon Qi realm, but I didn't expect that I would actually reach the qualifications to enter the stacked jade legacy realm, so I also came in to train. However, this old man is slow-witted. After so many years, my cultivation hasn't improved at all. I haven't gained anything during this time. When Xiaohua heard what Xianqing said, he disapproved in his heart. That year in the so-called Western Sea, he clearly saw how Xianqing performed. That by Haojiao, who looked a lot more powerful than Xianqing on the surface and was also a lot more scheming, was played by him in the palm of his hand. How could he believe Xianqing's words now? That's right, Xiaohua also said with a smile. This Xiao is similar to fellow Immortal Xian. I also occasionally enter the stacked jade legacy realm. First, I was thinking about how to escape, so how could I gain anything? Right now, this Xiao is waiting for the stacked jade legacy realm to close and leave. Oh, speaking of which, fellow Immortal Xian, when will this stacked jade legacy realm close? When I was about to come, I heard my family's third crown prince say that it seems to be closing soon. Xianqing replied. Right now, the time inside the stacked jade legacy realm is already the same as Dragon Island. When it accelerates again, it will be the beginning of the stacked jade legacy realm's closing. Time? Xiaohua frowned and said in confusion. How can the changes of time be sensed? Oh, it's simple. Xianqing also concealed it and said with a smile. There is no time in the 4 seas. Above Hidden Immortal, there are 4 seasons. When spring comes, autumn comes, summer comes, and winter comes, that is the sign of time acceleration. Change of the 4 seasons? Xiaohua's heart jumped, and he couldn't help but cry out. Fellow Immortal Xian, do you know what 3 dragons playing with a pearl is? 3 dragons playing with a pearl? Xianqing stared blankly. After thinking for a moment, he shook his head and said, This old man doesn't know what Taoist means by that. It's nothing. Xiaohua waved his hand and said, This Xiao was just thinking of something else. Oh, right, fellow Immortal Xian, where are you heading to? Sigh. Xianqing sighed and said, This old man entered the stacked jade legacy realm and hid in a place. Just now, I received a message from my family's third crown prince. He wants me and the other subordinates of the Western Sea Dragon Palace to hurry to the turning dragon platform. Although this old man doesn't want to come out, I don't dare to disobey the Crown Prince's orders. I can't not go. Turning dragon platform? How do you know that place is called Turning Dragon Platform? Xiaohua asked strangely. Who would have thought that Xianqing was even more strange than him? Of course I don't know. But my family's third crown prince said the location and also said that the place is called Turning Dragon Platform. Hee hee. Xiaohua laughed self-deprecatingly. This Xiao thought too much. This Xiao thought that fellow Immortal Xian was the same as this Xiao, entering the stacked Jade Legacy realm for the first time and not knowing where this place is. It's nothing. This old man is also very unfamiliar with this stacked Jade Legacy realm, Xianqing said with a smile. Before entering the Legacy realm, this old man specially asked my family's prince. Otherwise, this old man also wouldn't know. Since that's the case. Xiaohua looked at Xianqing, who was smiling harmlessly, and said, Fellow Immortal Xian, you should go to the Turning Dragon Platform. Don't let your family's third crown prince wait anxiously. As he spoke, Xiaohua cupped his hands and wanted to bid farewell to Xianqing. After all, Xiaohua's current strength had already surpassed Xianqing. He wasn't afraid that Xianqing had any schemes. Moreover, looking at Xianqing's slightly nervous expression, Xiaohua also understood that Xianqing definitely didn't expect that he would be able to come out of the Western Sea alive. He was very shocked to see him. Moreover, Xiaohua wasn't afraid that Xianqing would reveal this matter. After all, only he and Xianqing knew about the Western Sea. As for how big the Western Sea was, Xianqing probably knew much more than him. The mastermind of the Western Sea was Xianqing. If this matter was revealed, Xianqing would undoubtedly die. What was he afraid of? At worst, he could just say that he saved the Grand Mist Ancestor. Although the Grand Mist Ancestor also didn't know that he was still alive, he had already asked Taoist Master Qing Su to recruit him several times. That? Xianqing raised his hand and said with some hesitation, Taoist Master Xiao, please wait a moment. Oh? Fellow Immortal Xian, is there anything else? Xiaohua asked with a smile that wasn't a smile. Xianqing hurriedly shook his head and said, There's nothing special. It's just that when Taoist Master asked about the 3 dragons playing with a pearl, this old man suddenly thought of the Turning Dragon Platform. What do you mean? Xiaohua was somewhat puzzled. What does the 3 dragons playing with a pearl have to do with the Turning Dragon Platform? This old man is only guessing, Xianqing said with a smile. According to my family's third prince's message, the Turning Dragon Platform is a huge round platform, similar to a pearl. Moreover, the Dragon Palace of the 4 Seas will be fighting on the Turning Dragon Platform. However, no matter what, it should be 4 dragons playing with a pearl and not 3 dragons playing with a pearl. What are the Dragon Palaces of the 4 Seas fighting on the Turning Dragon Platform for? Xiaohua was confused and asked curiously. Xianqing replied, Taoist Master Xiao might not know that the Dragon Palaces of the 4 Seas are led by the Eastern Sea Dragon Palace, but in reality, whether it's the Western Sea Dragon Palace, the Northern Sea Dragon Palace, or the Southern Sea Dragon Palace, their strength is not inferior to the Eastern Sea Dragon Palace. Under the leadership of Dragon Island, the Dragon Palaces of the 4 Seas seem to be very harmonious. On the surface, there is no change in the rankings, but secretly, there is no lack of competition between each other for this ranking. Of course, outside of the 4 Seas, no one knows these secrets. That is to say, the Turning Dragon Platform's fight is also one of the competitions? Xiaohua somewhat understood. Yes. Xianqing nodded. Not only this time's training in the Folded Jade Legacy realm, but every time Dragon Island's training, the Dragon Palaces of the 4 Seas will have this kind of competition. Every time Dragon Island's training nears the end, the Dragon Palaces of the 4 Seas will find an opportunity to put their gains together, and then distribute them according to the ranking of the competition. So much so that in the future, when there is a need for a ranking in many places, it will also be decided according to this ranking. Therefore, the dragon palaces of the four seas attach great importance to every training competition. As long as there is a contribution in the competition, the dragon clan will be rewarded. Speaking to here, Xianqing paused for a moment and changed the topic. Taoist Xiao, this old man previously heard of the grudge between Taoist and the Immortal Palace. Originally, I thought it was just the same name, but now that I have seen Taoist, this old man knows that Blackwind Ridge's Xiaohua is Taoist. If Taoist wants to safely escape from the Immortal Palace's suppression, it is best to form a good relationship with my West Sea Dragon Palace. With my West Sea Dragon Palace's support, the Immortal Palace will not dare to make a move against Taoist. Of course, this old man is saying this for the sake of Taoist, and also for my third prince. If Taoist makes a contribution in the competition, not only will third prince benefit, but this old man will also benefit. This Xiao only has the strength of a little over 5th grade essence energy. How can I defeat the dragon generals of the dragon palaces? Xiaohua repeatedly waved his hand. Xianqing smiled and said, Taoist's current strength may not be a match for the other dragon generals of the dragon palaces, but Taoist's potential is something this old man has never seen before. Back then, Taoist's strength. Haha, this old man knows. How many years has it been? Taoist is actually already at 5th grade essence energy. This old man does not ask for anything else. I only ask for a warrior for my West Sea Dragon Palace. How is the relationship between the West Sea Dragon Palace and the North Sea Dragon Palace? Xiaohua frowned and asked in a low voice. Xianqing said without hesitation. Haha, my West Sea Dragon Palace is the West Sea Dragon Palace. Not to mention the North Sea Dragon Palace, even if it is the East Sea Dragon Palace, even if it is the Immortal Palace, my West Sea Dragon Palace will not be afraid. -13. Chapter 4037. Really? Xiaohua reminded with a faint smile. I just offended the 7th Prince of the North Sea Dragon Palace, Aozhing. He couldn't wait to eat me alive. Fellow Taoist Xian, you have to think carefully. Aozhing? Xianqing stared blankly and said with a bitter smile. How did you offend Aozheng again? The 7th Prince of the North Sea is extremely narrow-minded and vengeful. Since you offended him, I'm afraid you won't have a peaceful day in the future. How about this? If you want to go to the Turning Dragon platform, you should first hide your appearance, and wait for me to report to my third prince. If it doesn't work, don't blame me. If Xianqing agreed, Xiaohua would naturally be suspicious. However, Xianqing declined, and Xiaohua instead believed him. He might not go to the Turning Dragon platform to participate in the competition of the dragon palaces of the four seas, but he must go to the dragon cleansing pool. The competition Xianqing mentioned was very similar to the 3 dragons playing with a pearl. Xiaohua had no choice but to go take a look. Xiaohua thought for a moment and nodded. All right, since that's the case, I'll go with fellow Taoist Xian. Xiaohua agreed, but Xianqing hesitated and said somewhat awkwardly, I can bring you there, but I have to report to my third prince first. Deal! Xiaohua replied straightforwardly. I'll do as fellow Taoist Xian said. Even if I can't participate in the competition of the dragon palaces of the four seas, it's enough for me to meet the third prince of the West Sea Dragon Palace. Fellow Taoist Xiao, please! Demonic clouds appeared under Xianqing's feet. He raised his hands slightly and flew away first. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and looked at Xianqing's back. He knew that Xianqing was rather unwilling, but he didn't care and urged his figure to follow. The two flew for a few hours. Xianqing, as he said, was not particularly familiar with the folded jadeite legacy realm. As they walked, they searched. Along the way, they did not see any dragon tribe. It seemed that the dragon tribe, who were training in the folded jadeite legacy realm, had gathered at the Turning Dragon platform to prepare for the competition in the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. After flying for another hour, dragons gradually appeared in the same direction as Xianqing. Xianqing didn't greet these dragons and only flew forward with Xiaohua. Seeing a screen-like mountain range appear in front of the two, Xianqing stopped and said carefully, Enlightened one, please wait here for a moment. This old man will go and report to the third crown prince first. All right. Xiao Hua nodded and stopped in midair, watching Xiancheng fly away. Xiao Hua released his essence perception and looked around, trying to find clues about the dragon cleansing pool. Unfortunately, after looking around for a while, Xiao Hua frowned again. Although Xiao Hua had yet to see the turning dragon platform, there were already many dragons nearby. How could the dragon cleansing pool be in such a place? Perhaps this Xiao should go to the left side of the turning dragon platform to take a look. Xiao Hua urged his figure and flew towards the turning dragon platform. Who are you? Why did you barge into the forbidden area of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas? Xiao Hua had only flown a few thousand feet when two dragon generals appeared in midair and blocked Xiao Hua's path. Forbidden area? Xiao Hua looked into the distance and asked curiously. The Stacked Jade Legacy Realm is a place where we, the descendants of the Dragon Clan, train. When did this place become a forbidden area of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas? Does the Dragon Palace of the Dragon Island know? The Dragon Island does not know, the Dragon Palace even more so does not know. The two dragon generals' eyes flashed with ominous glints as they surrounded Xiao Hua from both sides. Cough, cough. Not far away, Xianqing's coughs could be heard. He berated. What are you two waiting for? This is a dragon general of my West Sea Dragon Palace. Oh, so it is the West Sea Patrol envoy. When the two dragon generals saw Xianqing, their expressions relaxed as they said with a smile. This immortal friend did not mention his origin, how can we let him in? He even threatened us, saying that he will report this matter to the Dragon Palace. Taoist Xiao is just joking with you, no need to take it seriously. Xianqing waved his hand and said, You two go and patrol. This old man will bring him to see my third crown prince. All right. The two dragon generals nodded and flew away. Let's go. Xianqing brought Xiao Hua to the vicinity of the turning dragon platform. He stopped and said with a smile, I will not hide it from Taoist Xiao. My third crown prince heard about Taoist Zhao's matter and felt somewhat troubled. My West Sea Dragon Palace is definitely not afraid of the Immortal Palace alone. But Taoist Xiao offended Ao Jing, it is very troublesome. Third Crown Prince is not willing to fall out with the North Sea Dragon Palace in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. So, no problem. Xiao Hua said with a smile. This Xiao will just walk around nearby. In a while I will just watch the show from the side. Taoist Xiao, don't be anxious. Xianqing immediately waved his hand and said, Let this old man finish speaking. Although Third Crown Prince is not willing to offend Ao Jing, he did not say that Taoist Xiao is not allowed to contribute to my West Sea Dragon Palace. Taoist Xiao only needs to wait by the side. If we need Taoist Xiao to take action, I believe that my Third Crown Prince will not have any more misgivings. All right. Xiao Hua did not really want to rely on the West Sea Dragon Palace, so he casually nodded his head. This Xiao will be nearby. If you need this Xiao to take action, feel free to speak. Then, this old man will go over first. Xianqing finally relaxed. He raised his head to look at a place and said, North Sea Dragon Palace is over there. It seems that Ao Jing has not come over yet. Be careful by the side. Just don't let him see you. Xianqing exhorted a few more words before turning around and flying away. Xiao Hua relaxed and looked towards the turning dragon platform. Indeed, it was as Xianqing said. This turning dragon platform was a spherical greenish-black round platform. It was several thousand zhang tall and towered on top of the mountain peak. It was very similar to a stone pearl. This round platform was perfectly round and flawless. It was truly a work of the gods. Damn it. There is a dragon pearl, but where are the three dragons of the three dragons playing with a pearl? Xiao Hua's eyes looked all around, but he could not see anything strange. Xiao Hua looked at the four groups of dragons gathered in the four directions of the turning dragon platform. There were also many dragons nearby who seemed to be watching the show. He prepared to leave. Right at this moment. Woo! The sound of wind whistling flew out from the direction of the East Sea Dragon Palace. A huge dragon rushed onto the turning dragon platform. He looked around and said loudly, "This king is the East Sea Dragon Palace's second crown prince, Ao Cheong. I believe that all the dragons already know what is going on here. The Stacked Jade Legacy Realm is about to close. Our training in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm will also end soon. The training in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm is an extremely rare opportunity for us. I believe that all of you have gained a lot in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. Today, my Dragon Palace of the Four Seas will also hold a routine competition in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. We will once again distribute the treasures we obtained in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. This king also does not want to go into the details of the competition rules. This king only wants to say that the dragon who can stand on the turning dragon platform in the end will be the final winner." Roar, roar! The group of dragons all roared, appearing very excited. Second Prince. At this moment, a dragon general flew out from the North Sea Dragon Palace. He said somewhat timidly beside the turning dragon platform, "My seventh prince has not come yet. Can this competition be postponed? Ao Jing is not here, but you all are." Ao Cheong did not give this dragon general any face at all. His dragon eyes looked towards the sky and shouted coldly, "When Ao Jing comes, it won't be too late to let him fight. But what if my seventh prince can't make it in time?" That dragon general endured Ao Cheong's forceful dragon aura and said reluctantly, "Hee hee." Ao Cheong sneered and said disdainfully again, "The competition on the turning dragon platform is the joint decision of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. The dragon race of the Three Seas Dragon Palace has been waiting for more than 10 days. Ao Jing has not come yet. Could it be that we have to wait until the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm closes? Moreover, who knows if Ao Jing is afraid? Does he not dare to come? My East Sea Dragon Palace has plenty of dragons with intermediate 7th grade essence energy like him. It doesn't matter if he has one more or not." But that dragon general seemed to want to argue. Ao Cheong simply shouted, "Does your North Sea Dragon Palace still want to participate in the competition? If you don't, just go to the last place." "All right." The dragon general did not dare to say any more. He hurriedly returned to discuss with the other dragon generals on how to deal with it. Dragon warriors. Ao Cheong's dragon aura lingered around his body. His dragon aura soared into the sky as he said encouragingly, "The previous experience was nothing. The competition on the turning dragon platform is the real battle. Release your dragon aura, release your dragon aura. Let the heavens and earth tremble and let the seniors of the dragon region be excited." Roar! All the dragons roared. Especially the dragon generals of the East Sea Dragon Palace, West Sea Dragon Palace, and South Sea Dragon Palace. They urged their dragon bodies to pounce on the turning dragon platform. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws. They actually started to fight. As for the North Sea Dragon Palace, seeing that the Dragon Palace of the Three Seas had already made their move, they did not dare to hesitate. Under the lead of a 6th grade essence energy dragon, they also pounced over. In just a short moment, miserable screams and angry roars could be heard in the air above the turning dragon platform. Pieces of flesh mixed with dragon blood fell onto the turning dragon platform. Motherfucker. Xiao Hua saw the dragon aura surging over like a tidal wave. That dragon aura and the strength of the battle were similarly spreading out in all directions like raging waves. He hurriedly retreated and secretly cried out in his heart, "How is this 3 dragons playing with a pearl? It's more like 100 dragons playing with a pearl. Forget it, I believe that there's no dragon cleansing pool here. I'd better go somewhere else?" Taoist Xiao. Just as Xiao Hua was about to turn around, Xianqing flew over and said with a smile, "Now is a good opportunity. North Sea Dragon Palace's Ao Jing is not here. Taoists should quickly take advantage of this opportunity to get on the turning dragon platform. If you can defeat a few dragons, my third prince will also gain face. Get on the platform now?" Xiao Hua bitterly smiled. He pointed at the huge dragons churning on the turning dragon platform and said, How strong are these dragons? If I go over now, wouldn't I be killed for nothing? Ai Taoist, now is a good opportunity to win in the chaos. Xianqing's expression slightly changed as he urged. Moreover, Taoist's body is extremely small. There are also many opportunities for sneak attacks. If you don't go now, when will you? This old man has already reported this to the third prince. If you don't go, not only will this old man lose face, you'll also make the third prince unhappy. If the third prince gets angry. Xiaohua's heart jolted. He thoughtfully looked at Xianqing and asked, if the third prince gets angry, what will happen? What will happen? Xianqing sneered. When humans get angry, blood will splatter 3 feet. When my dragon clan gets angry. -13. Chapter 4038. Roar! Just as Xianqing was about to threaten them, a shrill roar came from afar. Several giant dragons had already flown to the somersault dragon platform without waiting for the roar to land. The dragon at the front held a dragon shell in his claws. He arrived in front of the somersault dragon platform and shouted, "Stop, stop!" However, the dragons were in the midst of fighting. Who would pay attention to him? None of the dragon clan members stopped. Second prince! The dragon raised his claws and took out the dragon shell. He shouted, "Look, the 7th prince of the North Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Jing, and his dragon generals Ao Yen, Ao Long, Ao Ding, and Ao Yu have all been killed." As he spoke, the dragon shell flipped. The purple dragon body of Ao Jing, the light gray dragon body of Ao Yen, the light blue dragon body of Ao Long, the light red dragon body of Ao Ding, and the yellow dragon body of Ao Yu immediately floated to the side of the somersault dragon platform. 7th Prince! When the dragons of the North Sea Dragon Palace saw this, they immediately broke away from the fight and landed beside the remains of the 5 dragons. They all looked at the corpses of the 5 dragons in disbelief. Their faces were filled with disbelief. It's a little strange. Xiaohua's gaze naturally landed on the corpses of Ao Jing and the other giant dragons. Their chests and abdomens had been torn apart by sharp weapons. Their hearts and lungs were missing. It was exactly the same as the corpses he saw earlier. He could not help but feel puzzled. When the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace stopped fighting, the dragons of the other 3 sea dragon palaces naturally stopped as well. All the dragons looked at Ao Qiong. Aoing Ao Qian! Ao Qiong flew out with a displeased expression. He looked at the dragon generals of the West Sea and South Sea Dragon Palaces and scolded. "Tell me, what's going on?" The 3rd prince of the West Sea Dragon Palace, Aoing, and the 4th prince of the South Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Qian, flew out with unfriendly expressions. The 2 dragons looked at each other and said in unison, "Ao Qiong, what do you mean by this? What does Ao Jing's death have to do with us? If it's not you, could it be me?" Ao Qiong said angrily. "There might be some casualties in the competition between the 4 sea dragon palaces, but the 7th prince of the North Sea died in the competition. How are we going to explain this to the North Sea Dragon Palace? This has nothing to do with me or the West Sea Dragon Palace." Aoing waved his hand without hesitation. Ao Qian also denied it. "Second prince!" The dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace couldn't take it anymore. They all roared, "You must seek justice for the North Sea Dragon Palace. You must find the murderer who killed our 7th Marquis. As long as the 2nd prince can help the North Sea Dragon Palace, the North Sea Dragon Palace will compete with the East Sea Dragon Palace." "Ao Bo," Aoing said coldly. "Are you representing the North Sea Dragon Palace?" No, the 3rd prince misunderstood." He looked at Aoing, then at Ao Qiong and Ao Qian. "We, the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace, don't know what's going on, so we'd like to ask the 3 lords to help us. No matter which dragon palace can help us find the murderer, we will join forces with that dragon palace in this competition." This? Aoing, Ao Qiong and Ao Qian rolled their eyes. They naturally had to find out the truth about Ao Jing's death. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to answer to the North Sea Dragon Palace and Dragon Island. What they cared about the most was the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace. This was a force that could compete with the other 3 dragon palaces. Whichever side they sided with would definitely win this competition. I know! Suddenly, a slightly hoarse and excited voice came from below the turning dragon platform. The dragons could not help but be stunned, and their gazes looked in that direction. Wasn't the one who spoke Xian Cheng of the West Sea Dragon Palace? At this moment, Xiaohua was still standing beside Xian Qing, thinking about what happened. He didn't expect Xian Qing to suddenly speak. Xiaohua suddenly felt that something was wrong. Sure enough, Xian Qing suddenly stepped back and distanced himself from Xiaohua. He raised his walking stick and pointed at Xiaohua. It's him! It's him! It's him who killed Ao Jing, Ao Yu and the other dragons of the North Sea Dragon Palace. Xian Qing, are you crazy? Facing Xian Qing's sudden betrayal, Xiaohua was extremely shocked and furious. He finally understood the purpose of Xian Qing inviting him here. As long as he was killed, the matter of Xian Qing barging into the West Sea would definitely not be known by others. Moreover, at this point, no matter what he explained, there probably wouldn't be any dragons who would believe him. Xian Qing's intentions were truly sinister. How is that possible? Ao Qiong's face was full of disbelief as he berated. Xian Qing, he's a human. How could he kill 5 dragons around the 6th level essence power? The West Sea Dragon Palace's Ao Ing rolled his eyes and said anxiously, Xian Qing, don't be afraid. Quickly tell us what you know. This king will uphold justice for you. When Ao Qiong heard this, how could he not know that Xian Qing didn't know anything at all? He just casually pulled a scapegoat and confirmed the merit first, pulling a group of dragon generals from the North Sea Dragon Palace to the West Sea Dragon Palace. However, Xian Qing's words shocked Ao Qiong again. Xian Qing pointed at Xiaohua and said, I'll let Third Crown Prince know. He's the human cultivator Xiaohua. He's the best at concealing his cultivation. Previously, I saw him fighting with the North Sea Dragon Palace's 7th Crown Prince Ao Jing and Ao Yu. However, this subordinate's cultivation was shallow, so I didn't dare to look and hid far away. Later on, this subordinate met Xiaohua again, but I saw that he wasn't injured at all. If you say that he didn't kill 7th Crown Prince Ao Jing, this subordinate definitely wouldn't believe it. Moreover, this subordinate also found out from his mouth that he has an old grudge with the North Sea Dragon Palace. Therefore, he must be the murderer who killed 7th Crown Prince Ao Jing. That's right, Xiaohua, it's Xiaohua. A North Sea Dragon exclaimed. 7th King received 2nd King's message. This human Xiaohua spoiled our North Sea Dragon Palace's matter. 7th King brought Ao Yu and the others to find Xiaohua. This time, they didn't return. Indeed. Indeed. Another unknown dragon below the turning dragon platform also came to a realization and said, This subordinate also met 7th King. He asked me if I've seen a human cultivator called Xiaohua. That's right, it's him. All right. Without waiting for the other dragons to speak, Ao Ing waved his dragon claw and shouted, Subordinates of the West Sea Dragon Palace, surround Xiaohua and kill him. There's no need to ask anymore. Let's take revenge for 7th Crown Prince Ao Jing first. Yes. A group of dragon generals from the West Sea Dragon Palace flew out from the turning dragon platform and surrounded Xiaohua. Ao Qiong was somewhat puzzled and shouted, Ao Ing, even if Ao Jing is looking for Xiaohua, it doesn't mean that Xiaohua is the murderer who killed Ao Jing. Won't we know if we see Xiaohua's strength first? Ao Ing replied sinisterly. All right. All right. Ao Qiong was helpless. Ao Ing was right. If Xiaohua could fight with a group of dragons, he naturally had the ability to kill Ao Jing. But if Xiaohua couldn't defeat a group of dragons, as long as they captured him, wouldn't they know if it was him after a little investigation? However, Ao Qiong was very suspicious whether Ao Ing would spare Xiaohua's life and give him a chance to fight for the North Sea Dragon Palace. Seeing the West Sea Dragon Palace move, How could the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace hold back? All of them flew towards Xiaohua. Xiaohua glared fiercely at the complacent Xianqing. He didn't know if Xianqing really saw him fighting with Ao Jing, but the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace were right. Right now, he couldn't defend himself. Facing these dragon generals with ulterior motives, what other choice did he have other than to escape? However, if he escaped, wouldn't his crime be confirmed? Of course, this wasn't the time to hesitate. Seeing that dozens of dragons were already rushing over, Xiaohua made a prompt decision. His body flashed with brilliance. He couldn't care about anything else and was about to use his phoenix body to escape. Roar! Just when Xiaohua was about to expose the secret of the phoenix parasol, a dragon roar that Xiaohua was familiar with came from afar. Wasn't that the small clan elder of the dragon island, Ao Xing? Damn it! Xiaohua was overjoyed and immediately wanted to transmit his voice. However, after the dragon roar, Ao Xing's panicked voice had already resounded around the turning dragon platform. Run! Long Sea is here. What? Long Sea? As soon as they heard the two words Long Sea, all the dragons panicked. The dragons of the North Sea Dragon Palace and the West Sea Dragon Palace who were rushing towards Xiaohua no longer had the heart to avenge Ao Jing. They swung their dragon tails and fled into the distance like stray dogs. Seeing that his crisis was mysteriously resolved, Xiaohua was really puzzled. Long Sea? What's that? The front of the turning dragon platform was in a mess. Xianqing had already escaped long ago. Ao Xing and Ao Zhan appeared with dozens of dragons and humans in a similarly sorry state. Gee! Before Xiaohua could fly into the air, in the space where he was at the same level as Ao Xing, a loud and clear sound rang out. This sound was extremely penetrating. When Xiaohua heard it, it directly pierced into his heart. Especially inside his body, his meridians were violently pulsating, as if they were dragon veins. Xiaohua was very afraid of this sound. Not only that, when the sound fell, dozens of dragons near Xiaohua who had just escaped immediately fell to the ground. Their dragon bodies twisted uncontrollably, their dragon claws powerlessly grabbing the ground. On the dragon heads that were struggling to raise their heads, a pair of previously incomparably arrogant eyes were now anxiously and fearfully looking at the sky. In the sky, the figure of a strange demon beast appeared. This demon beast was only dozens of feet tall, like a toad. Other than its abdomen, which was a little green and red, there were fist-sized bumps on its back. Between these bumps, there were many dragon carvings. These dragon carvings did not produce clouds, instead, they seeped out an extremely stinky liquid. This liquid drifted with the wind, and when it entered the nostrils of the dragons, it caused their bones to go soft, and their tendons to go numb. Once the demon beast, Long Sea, appeared, it immediately pounced on the giant dragon that was lying limp on the ground. Long Sea's body landed on the giant dragon's dragon shell. When it opened its mouth, a long and thin crimson tongue stuck out. This tongue was actually also in the shape of a dragon. The dragon-shaped tongue immediately pierced into the dragon's head. Roar! The giant dragon wailed, its body trembling. However, as if it was an innate fear, the giant dragon could not move at all. Just as the giant dragon wailed and trembled, the giant dragon's brain matter was swallowed by Long Sea. Without waiting for this giant dragon to die completely, Long Sea flew to another giant dragon and greedily sucked its brain matter again. -13. Chapter 4039. Damn it, what kind of monster is this? Xiaohua suppressed the fear in his heart, and quietly flew into the sky. When Ao Xing and Ao Zhan saw Long Sea flying out, they had already flown in another direction. Xiaohua finally managed to catch up with them. Ao Xing didn't have time to ask Xiaohua how he came to the turning dragon platform, he only said with lingering fear. This Long Sea is from the dragon realm. It was originally the food of the dragon race in the dragon realm. Who knows how it came to the stacked Jade Legacy realm? Damn it, how can the dragon race of the dragon island deal with something from the dragon realm? Run, hide, wait until the stacked jade legacy realm closes, then we will have a chance to survive. Gee! Just as Ao Xing was reminding them, a sound that caused Ao Zhan and Ao Xing's dragon chi to tremble came from the space above their heads. Long Si, who had sucked the brains of dozens of giant dragons in an instant, chased after them again. Ao Xing and Ao Zhan's bloodline was pure. They didn't go limp because of Long Si's cry, but the other dozens of dragons and humans couldn't do the same. Their bodies trembled and fell from the sky. However, Long Si seemed to be more interested in the pure-blooded Ao Xing and Ao Zhan. It didn't care about the dragons at all. What was special was that Long Si's gray eyes were also looking at Xiaohua. Not good! This guy seems to have found my dragon vein! What should I do? Xiaohua saw Long Si looking at him. He couldn't help but be shocked. He then looked at Ao Xing and Ao Zhan. They were all afraid. He knew that the two dragons couldn't win against Long Si, this natural enemy, and he was afraid that only the great elder of the Dragon Hall could win. He quickly thought in his heart, I wonder if the great elder of the Dragon Hall can fight against Long Si? If he... Woo! At this critical moment, the sound of wind whistling came from the sky again. Along with the whistling of the wind, thousands of clouds rolled, and the scenery on the ground began to blur. Under the power of heaven and earth, even the powerful Long Si couldn't help but be swept up by the hurricane. Oh my God! The changes in the scenery are just too awesome. Xiaohua hated the scenery of the stacked jade legacy realm, but now, he almost wanted to hug the crystal and kiss it a few times. The hurricane that changed the scenery was so big that it seemed to blow away everything in the world. Xiaohua, who had just survived a calamity, danced with the wind in midair. Woo! After a while, a huge wind whistled over Xiaohua's head, and the huge turning dragon platform floated away like a bullet in the hurricane. Xiaohua's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly raised his hand and hugged the tumbling dragon platform. His entire body followed along. The changes in the scenery of the entire stacked jade legacy realm continued for a few hours. Only when Xiaohua rolled along with the tumbling dragon platform did the entire process come to a complete stop. Phew! Xiaohua drilled out of the mountain rocks below the somersault dragon platform with great difficulty. He patted the dust off his body and let out a long sigh of relief. Just as he was about to look around, his forehead felt cold. When Xiaohua raised his head to look, he saw that the entire sky was covered in red clouds. Snowflakes that were like goose feathers floated out from these red clouds and began to cover the entire realm of stacking jade. The 4 seasons change. Xiaohua smiled. I thought that it would start from spring. I didn't expect it to start from winter. In any case, since the 4 seasons have started to change, it's not too late for the realm of stacking jade to close. I can finally escape from Long Si's strangulation. Huh! This turning dragon platform. At this moment, how could Xiaohua still be thinking about the dragon cleansing pool? He was already lucky to be able to escape from Long Si's hands. However, he inadvertently discovered that the huge turning dragon platform was strangely rolling towards the top of a mountain. This is 3 dragons playing with a pearl? Xiaohua looked at the place where the turning dragon platform was rolling up and hurriedly flew up. When he saw the 3 mountain ranges that were like 3 huge dragons crawling on the ground, Xiaohua's heart suddenly jumped. A kind of ecstasy surged in his heart. 3 dragons playing with a pearl, the 4 seasons change. What about the 2 mountains beside the stream? Xiaohua hurriedly looked around, but he didn't see any other mountain ranges nearby. Creak, creak. The turning dragon platform that had absorbed the blood essence of the dragon clan slowly rolled up the mountain, emitting an ear-piercing noise. Xiaohua looked at it for a moment, and thoughtfully waited in the air. Another hour passed. The turning dragon platform was like a dragon pearl that had stopped at the peak of the mountain, and the ground was covered with rare snowflakes. Roar! 3 faint dragon roars came from below the 3 mountain ranges. The ground shook slightly. The 3 mountain ranges trembled like huge dragons playing with a pearl. The turning dragon platform bounced up into the air, giving rise to waves of fluctuations. Dragon vein. Xiaohua's eyes lit up, as if he had thought of something again. When the somersaulting dragon platform fell, a spatial crack appeared high up in the sky where the impact of the fluctuation was. 2 cracks in the shape of mountains appeared out of thin air. Walala! There was the sound of water, and a clear stream flowed out from the spatial crack. Beside the stream, outside the 2 mountains, 3 dragons playing with a pearl, the 4 seasons change. Xiaohua laughed heartily as he flew towards the turning dragon platform. At this moment, how could he not know that the dragon cleansing pool was not within the realm of stacking jade, but within the spatial interlayer of the realm of stacking jade? Moreover, every time the realm of stacking jade opened, the dragon cleansing pool might not necessarily appear. Only when the turning dragon platform fell here would the dragon cleansing pool appear. Therefore, Xiaohua finally understood that even the great elder of the dragon palace didn't know where the dragon cleansing pool was. However, the direction Xiaohua was flying towards was different from the dragon cleansing pool. His figure landed on the turning dragon platform. He looked at the turning dragon platform that was no longer fluctuating, then looked at the 3 dragon veins and the 3 mountain ranges. He hesitantly pinched his chin and pondered. Motherfucker, isn't this Xiao being a little insincere? Humph, what insincere? These dragon veins are ownerless items. Moreover, the realm of stacking jade is full of draconic energy. It won't take long for another dragon vein to appear. Moreover, the dragon island hasn't found the dragon cleansing pool for so many years, isn't it not a big deal to them? Thinking about this, Xiaohua's figure fell into the mountain range and released the dragon vein Xiaohua. The dragon vein Xiaohua roared and pounced into the realm of stacking jade. It swallowed the dragon veins that had been growing for God knows how many years. Of course, Xiaohua didn't kill them all. Instead, he left a tail for each of the dragon veins. Presumably, it won't take long for another dragon vein to appear. Of course, when Xiaohua swallowed the dragon veins, he cautiously looked at the spatial crack and the gurgling stream. Only when he saw that there weren't any special changes did he relax. After swallowing the dragon veins, Xiaohua stored them away. Xiaohua flew towards the spatial crack that looked like 2 mountain peaks. Xiaohua's figure landed in the space crack. Before he could see the situation in the space clearly, the roars of 10,000 dragons surged over like surging waves. These dragon roars were different from what Xiaohua usually heard. Some were weeping, some were wailing, some were moaning, some were laughing, and some were whispering. When every sound fell into Xiaohua's ears, the dragon vein in Xiaohua's physical body would tremble. An incomparably solemn and dignified aura of heaven and earth, and a strict aura of order assaulted his senses. This aura was 100 times more intense than the black and white runes that Xiaohua faced earlier. This seems to be the myriad dragon country. It seems to contain the profound mysteries of the dragon race's initial establishment, reproduction, and extinction. Dragon vein, Xiaohua whispered from the bottom of his heart. There's no need for any dragon jade. As long as I can understand these sounds, I can step into the dragon domain. Not only that. The scholarly cultivator Xiaohua, whose freedom had been restricted and who hadn't said a single word, suddenly opened his mouth. This young one has already sensed the boundless vitality within, the power to regenerate all living things. This must be the dragon cleansing pool. See. Xiaohua suppressed the excitement in his heart and entered the spatial crack. At a glance, he saw the dragon cleansing pool that he had yearned for even in his dreams. Xiaohua couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He saw that this was a space filled with lightning. Countless purple lightning bolts appeared out of thin air and fell into a pool of water that was 1,000 li in size. This pool wasn't an ordinary circular pool, nor was it on the ground. Instead, it stood in the spatial crack in the shape of a dragon. Inside the pool, a pool of light purple liquid was rippling like water. From a gap at the end of the pool, a small stream was gurgling out. This stream was originally as thin as a chopstick, but after leaving the pool, it immediately swelled up and became like an ordinary stream. Moreover, this stream grew larger and larger. After flowing for a few li, it completely disappeared and evaporated into the spatial crack. This is the dragon cleansing pool! Xiaohua looked inside the spatial crack. Apart from the lightning, there was nothing else. He was somewhat puzzled. After closing his eyes, he opened his delirium breaker Dharma eye. In the delirium breaker Dharma eye, an enormous dragon shape that was several times more dazzling than an ordinary sun coiled in the spatial crack. Xiaohua resisted the discomfort caused by the delirium breaker Dharma eye and carefully observed it. This dragon shape looked similar to an ordinary dragon, but on the surface of the dragon shape, every dragon scale had millions of mysterious dragon patterns. Moreover, every trace of the dragon pattern gave off a fine light. Within the fine light, there were even finer lightning bolts. Tens of thousands of dragon scales gathered together to form an unparalleled dragon might. This dragon might was like a mountain, like the sun and the moon, like the heavens and the earth. Xiaohua almost couldn't see the entire dragon shape clearly. That glaring purple flame had already forced him to close his delirium breaker Dharma eye. After closing his Dharma eye, he saw the dragon cleansing pool again. He couldn't see the profoundness inside. Xiaohua was enlightened once again. The dragon cleansing pool was not created by man but by nature. The delusion breaker Dharma eye was the key to the creation of the dragon cleansing pool. The dragon carvings on the dragon's shape were the work of the gods. The carvings on the dragon's body were probably the result of these millions of dragon carvings. Xiaohua pondered for a moment. The Confucian cultivator Xiaohua said in a low voice, "Fellow immortal, let me out first. Although I can't rely on this dragon cleansing pool to form my body, I can comprehend the essence of the dragon cleansing pool and see fellow Taoist Long Mai's rebirth. This will be of great help to me in comprehending the vitality of Confucian cultivators. Fellow immortal, don't be impatient," Xiaohua said with a smile. "The spatial laws in this folded jade legacy realm are incomplete. Confucian cultivators and clear eyes technique can't be used. This is the spatial crack of the folded jade legacy realm. Who knows if fellow immortal can come out?" -13. Chapter 40. Fortunately, Xiaohua only gave it a try before releasing the scholarly cultivator Xiaohua. Thus, Xiaohua simply let the green-robed Xiaohua send out his invisible nascent soul to experience the changes in the dragon cleansing pool together. Looking at the resplendent sword light and the rumbling thunder, Xiaohua turned his head to look outside the spatial crack, at the snowflakes floating down from the stacked jade legacy realm. He sighed in his heart, then his mind escaped into the mysterious dark clouds. How is it? Xiao Bai had previously swallowed Ao Jiao's soul, so he naturally knew some secrets of the stacked jade legacy realm. Although he had never asked, he was inevitably nervous. After all, even a dragon like Ao Jiao couldn't form her body. Xiao Bai was only a flood dragon, so how could he be blessed by heaven? Now that he saw Jade Archive Xiaohua appear, he couldn't help but speak with a trembling voice. Jade Archive Xiaohua smiled and said, "Everything is ready except for the east wind. How is your cultivation of the dragon transformation art?" "Ha!" Xiao Bai's face was filled with ecstasy when he heard this, and he laughed loudly. The entire soul formation realm was filled with Xiao Bai's joy, and the gloom and sorrow that seemed to have accumulated for hundreds of years disappeared in an instant. "Xiaohua!" Xiao Bai laughed for half a cup of tea's time before he opened his mouth and said, "I don't know how to describe the excitement in my heart, nor do I know how to express my gratitude to you, Xiao Bai." Jade Archive Xiaohua couldn't help but be excited and said, "You and I met because of Yellow Flower Ridge, and you died because of Shang Huaming. Although you aren't a member of Shang Huaming, in my eyes, you are the same as second senior brother and senior sister. You are my family in this life, and I am very happy to be able to do something for you. Furthermore, you and I are best friends. Your soul remains in my mysterious dark clouds, and my soul cultivation progresses along with you. How many people in this world are there who are worthy of such trust? How many people in this world are there who are worthy of such trust? How many people in this world are there who are worthy of such trust? How many people in this world are there who we can entrust everything to?" Sigh. Xiao Bai's expression gradually calmed down, and he sighed slightly and said, "You are right. In the face of such feelings, any words are useless, and no matter what you say, it is useless. Have you cultivated your dragon transformation skill to perfection?" Jade Archive Xiaohua was still concerned about the dragon transformation skill and asked again. Xiao Bai smiled and said, "Although there are 9 layers to the dragon transformation art, when the dragon jade was incomplete, I did not quite understand it. After all, the tempering techniques in it were too profound. Furthermore, back then, with my python body, I had actually already mastered most of the dragonization art. Otherwise, how could I have transformed into a dragon? When the dragon jade was complete, and I learned that the dragon transformation art was originally a cultivation method for the dragon race to remodel their bodies, I completely understood that during this period of time, there were no longer any obstacles for me to look back at the dragon transformation art in my soul state." At this point, Little White asked again, "By the way, Xiaohua, you didn't let fellow Taoist Long Mai reconstruct his body first?" "Hee, your matter is more important," Jade Archive Xiaohua said with a smile. "Leave the matter of Taoist Long Mai for later." Little White was moved again. After thinking for a bit, it raised its dragon claw and a crystal light fell in front of Xiaohua's eyes. It said, "This is my recent understanding of the dragonization art. Perhaps it will be of some help to Taoist Long Mai." "Okay." Jade Archive Xiaohua stretched out his hand and the crystal light immediately entered Little White's body. He then urged, "Let's go, Little White. It's time for you to remodel your body." When Xiaohua's consciousness withdrew from the mysterious dark clouds, he used the soul strands to drag Little White's soul out. Immediately, the entire space was filled with crackling sounds. The dragon that was originally difficult to see with the naked eye actually revealed its outline. Moreover, the calm purple liquid in the dragon cleansing pool also began to show traces of ripples. "Xiaohua, I'm going." Little White was actually somewhat reserved as it looked at the dragon cleansing pool and said in a low voice. Xiaohua said with a smile, "Go. Don't worry about personal gains and losses. Just stay calm and clear, and activate the dragonization art." "Okay." Little White took a deep breath. Roar. With a long roar, its soul rushed into the dragon cleansing pool. Boom. Seeing Little White's soul fall into the dragon cleansing pool, the entire space shook with a loud boom. A huge fire dragon shape appeared above the dragon cleansing pool. Oh. Xiaohua somewhat understood. He knew that this was the reason why Little White swallowed the fire dragon's soul. Buzz. A series of strange sounds came from the dragon cleansing pool. The water in the dragon cleansing pool began to boil. At the crack in space, countless amounts of dragon spiritual energy rushed out from the stacked Jade Legacy realm and madly entered the dragon shape that was faintly visible to the naked eye. When the dragon spiritual energy entered the dragon scale, it turned into fireflies that hovered in the dragon cleansing pool. Hiss. Is this the power of rebirth? Xiaohua's voice came from the sword light. Xiaohua hastily looked over and saw a flickering black and white light appear at the end of the dragon cleansing pool. Then, even more black and white light appeared. In the blink of an eye, another dragon scale was formed. Then, the dragon scales began to flicker. Xiaohua. At this time, Little White's voice came. Don't forget your promise. Quickly give me a drop of essence blood. You. Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What do you want my essence blood for? I have a lot of dragon corpses here. How about I give you their flesh? Hee, we had an agreement back then. Little White didn't explain and only laughed from the dragon cleansing pool. All right. Xiaohua helplessly sent a drop of essence blood into the dragon scale. Whoosh! A blood-red light flashed within the dragon scale. Within the blood-red light, the chanting of gods and devils could be faintly heard. One by one, the figures of gods and devils that couldn't be determined inexplicably appeared. The black and white light from before immediately dimmed under the influence of the gods and devils. A bit of flesh appeared within the light, and at the same time, the liquid in the dragon cleansing pool began to rush into the flesh and turned into something else. In just a short moment, a butterfly-shaped dragon tail appeared. Thunderclaps sounded like raindrops, and the dragon's spiritual energy blew in from the spatial crack like a hurricane. Snowflakes also entered the spatial crack, and the originally solemn atmosphere in the spatial crack became even denser. Mysterious ripples were produced in the spatial crack one after another. Scholarly cultivator Xiaohua wasn't the only one who was immersed in comprehending the Tao of life. Green-robed Xiaohua wasn't the only one who was engrossed in comprehending the Tao of life and death. Even Xiaohua's eyes were filled with extraordinary splendor. This was the power of heaven and earth that was rarely seen in the world. This was the mystery of heaven and earth that came out of nothing. It was more profound than any cultivation method, secret technique, divine ability, or secret technique in the world. This was the source of all magical techniques and divine abilities. After a full 2 hours, the reconstruction of Little White's dragon body finally came to an end. A dragon body that was close to 50 kilometers in size gradually emerged from the dragon cleansing pool. Its scales flashed with mysterious dragon patterns, and every inch of its flesh was engraved with indescribable runes. Its seemingly real dragon body was filled with vitality and vitality. Boom! In the end, the entire space began to rumble with lightning and thunder. Consciousnesses that could easily destroy the entire world appeared above the dragon cleansing pool. With the appearance of these consciousnesses, an obscure and incomprehensible draconic incantation appeared amidst the rumbling thunder. Following this draconic incantation, the lightning in the entire space began to gather, forming a huge character on the little white dragon's blurry head. This character was so strange that even Xiaohua, who had cultivated green seal text, couldn't see it in his mind even though he could see it with his eyes. Shirk! The words that came out of the lightning made a sound that was similar to the green seal's script. Then they fell into the little white dragon's head. It was like the finishing touch. The little white dragon's head suddenly appeared. At the same time, all the waves converged on the little white dragon's head, and the blood-red dragon horn appeared on its head. The moment the dragon horn appeared, all the gods and devils chanted, and all the thunder and lightning disappeared. Ha ha! Little White laughed and flew out of the dragon cleansing pool. Its huge dragon body rapidly shrank. When it arrived in front of Xiaohua, the flames around Little White's body flashed, and a human figure wearing a scarlet robe appeared in front of Xiaohua. It cupped its hands and said, "Fellow Taoist, I greet you!" Looking at the human figure that looked exactly like him and the mysterious dragon pattern on the robe, Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He raised his hand and returned the gesture. "Little White, don't you have your original form?" "Ha ha!" Little White laughed. "I only have my original form of a monster. I don't have a human face." "Oh?" Xiaohua nodded slightly and said, "I understand. Ordinary dragons can't transform into a real human like you because they don't have the bloodline of a human. And you can only transform into me because you have my blood essence? Not only that." Little White's body swayed and transformed into an ordinary dragon. It danced in the air a few times and said with a smile, "I once cultivated in your soul, so I also have the power of your soul. When I transform into you, even Virokana revered one wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You're my real incarnation," Xiaohua said with a smile. "You're no longer a soul body, so you can't enter the soul to cultivate. What plans do you have?" "Plans?" Little White laughed. "I'll follow you. What other plans do I have? The world is vast. There are many places you can go." Xiaohua nodded. "Even if you and I depend on each other for survival, you should go out and gain experience." "All right," Little White replied. "I'll listen to you. After all, I've just condensed my physical body. It's better for me to walk around first. Also..." Xiaohua thought of something and wanted to send a voice transmission, but he hesitated. After pondering for a moment, he said, "Your origin, just don't reveal it. I don't have anything else to tell you." "All right," Little White replied without hesitation. We naturally have to endure our blood feud. When the time is right, we'll talk about it. How much dragon cleansing liquid did you use in the dragon cleansing pool? Xiaohua looked at the dragon cleansing pool and asked. Is there enough left for fellow Taoist dragon bloodline to condense his body? -13. Chapter 40-41. Haha, don't worry! Little White Dragon laughed and replied proudly. I only used 20% of the dragon cleansing pool's dragon cleansing liquid. The remaining is enough for Taoist Long Mai to condense his body. Good! Xiaohua relaxed and asked. I have a Kunlun mirror here with a Kunlun immortal realm for you to cultivate in. Do you want to go in now? Or do you want to stay here? Of course I want to stay here! The little white dragon replied without any hesitation. Fellow Taoist Long Mai is your clone, so I have to protect you no matter what. Good! Xiaohua slapped his forehead and said, Taoist Long Mai, it's time for you to condense your body. Roar! With a dragon roar, Long Mai Xiaohua rushed out of Xiaohua's body. Rumble! As Long Mai Xiaohua appeared, the previously extinguished lightning instantly enveloped the entire space. Even the dragon cleansing pool's dragon cleansing liquid began to boil. Hiss! Seeing such a phenomenon, not only was Xiaohua shocked, even Little White Dragon was stunned. Taoist friend, Xiaohua hurriedly said. The dragon cleansing pool's life force suddenly flourished, 10 times stronger than before. The lightning energy has also strengthened 10 times. Green-robed Xiaohua reminded at the same time. There's more! Xiaohua said. Once Taoist Long Mai condenses his body, he might not be able to return to your body. How will you cultivate your Tao sex techniques? Xiaohua pondered for a moment, then raised his head and said, I have already thought about it for a long time. Now Taoist Long Mai is no longer just eyes meridians. He is also an independent Taoist friend. Condensing his body is the first step of his cultivation. I cannot destroy his heavenly Tao for myself. Xiaohua. Long Mai Xiaohua's entire body was incomparably bright in the space. His voice also seemed to come from the heavens. Thank you. Hee, no need to be so polite. Xiaohua laughed. You are me, and I am you. I'm thinking for you and also for myself. Little White, thank you for your understanding of the dragonization art. Long Mai Xiaohua looked at the reborn Little White Dragon. Now, I have full confidence in condensing my body. Haha, no need to be so polite. Little White Dragon's voice. You are me, I am you. Roar. Long Mai Xiaohua's dragon roar shook the space. Xiaohua, the dragon flew into the dragon cleansing pool. Don't worry, I'll give you some essence blood. Xiaohua thought of something and hurriedly forced a drop of essence blood into Xiaohua's mouth. Aren't you being too stingy? The green-robed Xiaohua laughed from the side. Now, the lightning in the dragon cleansing pool is more than 10 times stronger than the little white dragon's body. How can a drop of your essence blood succeed? UTTT it? Xiaohua almost stomped his feet. He fiercely glared at the green-robed Xiaohua. Taoist teat SSS. Taoist Lord Long Mai's body is to condense body to condense. Me too. Xiaohua, of course, wouldn't let Long Mai Xiaohua's body formation fail. Thinking for a moment, he gave another 8 drops of blood. Xiaohua's face turned pale. Boom! Long Mai Xiaohua rushed into the dragon cleansing pool, causing the space to tremble. Inside the dragon cleansing pool, Long Mai Xiaohua's body formation phenomenon was 10 times stronger than when Little White Dragon condensed his body. Looking at the dragon's spiritual chi gushing out from the folded jade legacy realm, it caused the space crack to shake. The 2 mountains seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Oh no! Although Xiaohua was prepared, he didn't expect Long Mai Xiaohua's body formation to be so powerful. Before he could come up with a countermeasure, the dragon cleansing pool roared. Roar! The dragon above the dragon cleansing pool actually let out a roar. The dragon cleansing liquid in the dragon cleansing pool was like a water dragon charging into the dragon. Even more concentrated lightning bolts struck the dragon's scales and patterns. After the dragon cleansing pool filled up the dragon, it continued to expand uncontrollably. At the end of the dragon cleansing pool, the black and white specks of light at the dragon's tail had yet to appear, let alone the condensation of blood and flesh. Little White, what's going on? Xiaohua panicked and turned to ask Little White Dragon. Little White Dragon was also dumbfounded. He didn't know what to say. After a while, he stuttered, I don't know, roar! Right at this moment, Xiaohua's dragon roar resounded once more from the dragon cleansing pool. An enormous dragon figure actually charged out from the pool, flashed over Xiaohua's head, and flew towards the stacked jade legacy realm. Around the dragon shape, there were billions of lightning and billions of dragon runes that looked like sparkling jade lights. It was a spectacular sight. Xiaohua didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly moved his body and followed Little White Dragon out of the space. Whoop! A huge wind whistled. The dragon shape gradually expanded and rushed towards the folded jade legacy realm. It was probably already more than 10,000 miles away. At this time, the drifting snowflakes were sucked into the huge dragon shape along with the dragon's spirit chi in the folded jade legacy realm. This hurricane was so big that it gradually affected the entire folded jade legacy realm. Along with the hurricane, the entire folded jade legacy realm fell into lightning and thunder. 10,000 layers of dragon clouds, 10,000 layers of dragon roars. The entire folded jade legacy realm seemed to be splitting the heavens and earth. This huge movement was not inferior to the changes in the scenery of the folded jade legacy realm. Especially, along with the appearance of the dragon cleansing pool's dragon shape and the condensation of Long Mai Xiaohua's flesh, an earth-shattering dragon aura gradually condensed from an inexplicable space within Xiaohua's body. This dragon aura was so powerful that it caused all the dragons in the folded jade legacy realm to crawl on the ground. Dragon territory! Dragon territory! Ao Xing and Ao Zhan were naturally attracted by the phenomenon of Long Mai Xiaohua's body condensation. Like all the other dragons, they flew towards the direction of the huge dragon shape. However, when the dragon aura was released, they couldn't help but tremble. Ao Xing resisted the trembling and actually revealed the tone of a great elder. Could it be that the passage between the folded jade legacy realm and dragon territory has been repaired? Did the dragon territory's holy dragon descend here? When did the dragon aura of the Four Seas Dragon Clan and Dragon Island's Dragon Clan become so powerful? Looking far into the distance, Long Si, who was sucking on a giant dragon, raised her head in surprise. She looked at the dragon pillar, and a rare look of fear and indescribable greed appeared in her withered and emotionless eyes. After hesitating for a moment, Long Si suddenly jumped into the air, and her figure disappeared in a flash. Long Si was not the only one who was attracted by this unusual phenomenon. Even further away, another black figure that was dozens of feet large flew up from the ground. Its body also swiftly descended into the empty space. Behind this black figure, there were also a couple of huge dragon corpses that had fallen on a huge rock. Quick, quick! Although the dragons were shocked by the dragon aura, they understood in their hearts and shouted, "Quickly rush to where the holy dragon is. Only by reaching there will we be safe. Only the holy dragon can resist Long Si. Damn it, fellow Taoist Long Mai is too strong." Little White Dragon was also shocked by the dragon aura. However, he had just come out of the dragon cleansing pool and the dragon aura of the dragon cleansing liquid in his body hadn't faded yet. Therefore, he could still stand there steadily. He couldn't help but exclaim. However, Xiaohua, who was standing next to Little White Dragon, had a trace of worry on his face. Although he couldn't see what was wrong with this powerful dragon aura, he could feel the lack of strength in Xiaohua's body condensation. Xiaohua looked at the snowflakes dancing in the air, then the yellow leaves drifting in the air, and now it was drizzling. He understood that because of Xiaohua's body condensation, the 3 seasons of the stacked jade legacy realm had been completed within several hours. The dragon's spiritual chi had condensed into Xiaohua's body, but the will of the body condensation and the dragon language that sealed the heavenly pattern land deed hadn't appeared. This could only mean that his 9 drops of essence blood weren't enough to condense Xiaohua's body. What else is missing? What else is missing? Xiaohua held his forehead with one hand and whispered in a somewhat anxious tone. Little White Dragon also frowned. He thought for a moment, then probed. Xiaohua, fellow Taoist Long Mai is formed by luck and borrowed your meridians. It's easier for him to fuse with the dragon cleansing liquid in the dragon cleansing pool. This place is a fragment of the dragon domain. Does he lack dragon domain's essence blood? Damn it, how can I have dragon jade's essence blood? Xiaohua replied somewhat anxiously. Isn't there a dragon priest in the stacked jade legacy realm? Confucian cultivator Xiaohua reminded. Xiaohua's eyes lit up, but then he shook his head. Although dragon priest is from the dragon domain, he isn't a dragon. His essence blood won't be useful. That's not right, green-robed Xiaohua said. Fellow Taoist Long Mai hasn't condensed his body for a long time. It should be because he doesn't have enough life force. Or rather, he doesn't have enough dragon spiritual qi. Dragon jade. Crystal dragon. Dragon core. Xiaohua suddenly came to a realization. These 3 things came from dragon field. There must be pure dragon spirit qi from dragon field inside. Put the dragon core at the back. Green-robed Xiaohua immediately shouted. Let's give the useless crystal dragon and dragon jade to fellow Taoist Long Mai first. With a wave of his hand, Xiaohua took out dragon jade and crystal dragon and sent them into the dragon cleansing pool together. Boom! The dragon cleansing pool once again surged with wild waves. An indescribable ripple spread from the dragon's tail to the dragon's head that Xiaohua still couldn't form. Boom! With a loud sound, the entire stacked jade legacy realm turned completely dark. Only a bolt of lightning flashed in the sky. In the darkness, hundreds of powerful consciousnesses appeared in the stacked jade legacy realm. Then, hundreds of cryptic dragon language appeared in the thunder like an incantation. It was like a blessing and also like a prayer. Following this dragon language, hundreds of huge characters directly emitted a dazzling light in the darkness. Dragon ancestors' blessing. Aoshin crawled on the ground and couldn't help but cry out. This isn't the dragon domain's holy dragon descends. It's a dragon's body condensed. Xiaohua. This is Xiaohua. But dragon ancestors' blessing, how can there be so many? There's a total of 100. How is this possible? -13. Chapter 40-42. Just as Dragon Hall's Great Elder was confused, hundreds of dragon runes landed on Dragon Vein Xiaohua's head. At the same time, a huge dragon head slowly grew out. 2 9-colored crystal dragon horns also grew out. Above the dragon horns, there was a faint dragon crown. The hundreds of dragon ancestors' blessings landed on the dragon horns. All the gods and demons chanted, and all the thunder and lightning completely disappeared. Along with the disappearance of the lightning and thunder, there were also layers of dark clouds in the forgotten realm of stacked jade. The entire sky seemed to have brightened up as jade-like crystals were born in the sky. Like a spring breeze, tens of thousands of flower petals bloomed among the cloud trees. Stacked jade, stacked jade. Xiaohua was in a good mood. Looking at the layers of jade falling down, he smiled and said, I'm afraid this is the origin of the realm of stacked jade. Roar! Dragon Vein Xiaohua stretched his neck and let out a long cry. His huge dragon body rapidly shrank. The dragon might that pervaded the entire realm of stacked jade also faded like the tide. When Dragon Vein Xiaohua landed in the dragon cleansing pool, all the strange phenomena disappeared. I greet you! Dragon Vein Xiaohua flew out from the dragon cleansing pool and transformed into a human figure that looked exactly like Xiaohua. He bowed and greeted. Little White Dragon's figure flashed and landed beside Dragon Vein Xiaohua. His appearance was also no different from Xiaohua. Not to mention the naked eye, even if divine sense swept over, it was impossible to distinguish Little White from Dragon Vein Xiaohua. Congratulations, fellow Taoist! Xiaohua ignored the little white dragon and cupped his hands in return. His gaze was rather satisfied as he looked up and down at Xiaohua of the dragon bloodline, who was dressed in a dragon-patterned Taoist robe. He said, "Fellow Taoist, you can use your original appearance. There's no need to transform into my appearance." "Okay." Dragon Vein Xiaohua smiled. The dragon runes moved slightly and his human figure disappeared. A 5-clawed colored dragon with a dragon crown appeared in front of Xiaohua. You actually formed a 5-clawed dragon body?" Little White Dragon looked at Dragon Vein Xiaohua's 5 claws and was shocked. He asked in disbelief. Dragon Vein Xiaohua smiled and said, "Indeed! Before I condensed my body, I didn't notice it. Now that I have condensed my body, I realize that I actually formed a 5-clawed dragon body. Sigh, a dragon among dragons. Fate is indeed different." Little White Dragon sighed. "Comparing dragons to dragons really makes dragons angry." Ouch! Xiaohua smiled as he looked at the 2 dragons that had successfully condensed their bodies. Suddenly, his expression changed as if he had thought of something. He threw down the 2 dragons and hurriedly flew to the side of the dragon cleansing pool. At this time, the dragon cleansing pool was almost empty. Less than half of the dragon cleansing liquid was flowing in the pool. "Withdraw!" Without hesitation, Xiaohua extended his consciousness into the dragon cleansing pool. Fortunately, the dragon cleansing pool had just been destroyed by the dragon vein Xiaohua's transformation, and all the innate restrictions had yet to recover. Xiaohua's consciousness swept up the dragon cleansing liquid and smoothly sent it into the space. "Ha ha!" Xiaohua clapped his hands and laughed. "This way, I won't have any regrets." Before he could finish laughing, the sound of a beast's roar that made Xiaohua's hair stand on end came from outside the dragon cleansing pond. "Long Si! Why did this thing chase after us? Damn it!" Xiaohua's face was pale. Long Si was the natural enemy of the dragon race. How could the 2 freshly emerged dragons outside the dragon cleansing pool be a match for Long Si? Roar, roar! Contrary to Xiaohua's expectations, 2 resounding dragon roars rang out at the same time as the sound of an explosion. Xiaohua was so frightened that he hurriedly flew out of the dragon cleansing pool. When he flew out, the little white dragon and Long Si had already transformed into a 1,000 Zhang Long dragon and were fighting with a similarly 1,000 Zhang Long Si. Although the 2 dragons were at a disadvantage, they did not look like ordinary dragons that were being eaten. Xiaohua came to a realization. The dragon cleansing pool was an item of the dragon domain. The 2 dragons born from the dragon cleansing pool were naturally not something the Dragon Island's dragon race could compare to. They would not be particularly afraid of Long Si. Of course, the strength that Long Si Xiaohua was displaying now was extremely unmatched with the huge abnormality of Long Si Xiaohua's body condensation. This made Xiaohua a little confused. However, how could Xiaohua have the time to think? With a roar, his body flashed with brilliance as he displayed the Heavenly Law's embodiment technique and joined the battle with the wishful steel staff in his hand. Rumble! Just as Xiaohua's figure left the dragon cleansing pool, a loud thunder sounded again. The 2 mountain-like spatial cracks quickly healed, and the dragon platform between the 3 mountains also began to slowly roll down the mountain. Roar! Dragon bloodline Xiaohua roared angrily. He opened his dragon mouth and tore off a piece of flesh from dragon bloodline Xiaohua's body. Taking advantage of dragon bloodline Xiaohua's success, Dragon Bloodline Xiaohua opened his mouth and a several 1,000-foot-long tongue came out of his dragon head and fiercely lunged at Dragon Bloodline Xiaohua's forehead. Boom! Just as the tongue was about to pierce Long Si Xiaohua's forehead, a black wishful steel staff suddenly appeared from the void and smashed right in the middle of the tongue. The whole tongue bent like noodles. Gee! Long Si Xiaohua was ashamed and angry, and its huge claws slapped at Xiaohua. This slap of Long Si Xiaohua actually contained a restriction that shrouded the space of several hundred zhang around Xiaohua, imprisoning Xiaohua. Pa! Xiaohua's whole body shone with golden light, but he was unable to break free from this restriction. The beast's claws slapped down and hit his arm. Xiaohua's several hundred zhang golden body fell from the sky like a stone and landed on the ground with a boom. However, it was only a moment before Xiaohua flew out from the ground again and rushed into the air, although there were some cracks on his arm. It was also at this moment that Long Xi's other beast claw fell on Little White Dragon's tail. A large piece of flesh was torn, and Little White Dragon cried out in pain. Immediately, Long Xi Xiaohua turned its head and its long tongue suddenly attacked Little White Dragon's forehead. Little White Dragon turned pale with fright, and a dark green halo flashed between its dragon horns. A halo rushed out and landed on Long Xi Xiaohua's forehead without any obstruction. Long Xi Xiaohua suddenly screamed and hastily retracted its tongue, as if it wanted to protect its forehead. Ka! At this moment, a shadow flashed by on Long Xi Xiaohua's tail. Long Xi Xiaohua's dragon tail suddenly fell, and Long Xi Xiaohua's tail immediately bent. Long Xi Xiaohua's figure rose up and loudly howled. Kill! Xiaohua coldly waved his hand. Following Xiaohua's command, Little White Dragon and Long Xi Xiaohua once again pounced on Long Xi Xiaohua from both sides. GGG! Long Xi Xiaohua roared 3 times in a row, and its entire monster body was suffused with a striking scarlet color. The dragon patterns on its body seemed to be alive, and an indescribable dragon might was actually emitted from Long Xi Xiaohua's body, forcing Little White Dragon and Long Xi Xiaohua to retreat several thousand zhang. Xiaohua was even worse off, and was firmly pressed on the ground, unable to move at all. Moreover, as the dragon might grew stronger, the 2 dragons' movements were also restricted, and a vague feeling of bone softness and tendon numbness appeared again. Not good! Xiaohua looked at Long Xi Xiaohua, who was ferociously closing in on Little White Dragon and Long Xi Xiaohua, and was greatly alarmed. Little White Dragon and Long Xi Xiaohua have after all just formed their bodies, and their strength is still shallow. How can they be this Long Xi's opponent? At this crucial moment, roar! A loud and clear dragon roar came from afar, and a mountain-like dragon might rushed over like a wave. Rumble! It violently collided with Long Xi's dragon might from all directions. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xiaohua struggled to fly up from the ground, and rushed to Long Xi Xiaohua's side. Fellow! Xiaohua bitterly smiled and asked. The heaven and earth anomaly of your body forming is so big, and has indeed disturbed the entire overlapping Jadeite legacy realm, but why is your strength still so weak? Long Xi Xiaohua indifferently replied. I's body forming movement is big, and it can only mean that I's dragon body foundation is good, and I have great potential in the future. It can't mean that I's strength can surpass you all of a sudden. That Ao Xing is called Little Clan Elder, but isn't his current strength inferior to I? Xiaohua was only complaining, but he actually understood in his heart. Looking at Long Xi, whose dragon might was like a mountain, he asked, Now, what should we do? Fight to the death. Long Xi Xiaohua's dragon eyes were unyielding. I formed my body from the dragon's spiritual energy of the dragon domain, and this heaven and earth originally did not tolerate it. How can you not know? It is difficult for any almighty to descend into the world, and there is bound to be a heaven and earth calamity. This Long Xi is the heaven and earth's test for I, and I will definitely fight and win, and kill if I win. Good. Little White Dragon shouted from the side. I will also help. Rumble. While Xiaohua and the others were talking, Long Xi Xiaohua had already clashed with Long Xi. Dense draconic aura wreaked havoc in an area of nearly 1,000 miles. Specks of emerald green danced in the hurricane. Scales and drops of dragon blood also flashed with a bloody color in the emerald green. The entire space was cracking and collapsing amidst the roars. The great elder of the Dragon Hall once again used Ao Xing's dragon body to reveal his true form. That 8th grade essence force was evenly matched with Long Xi. Even with the powerful combat ability of the dragon race, the great elder tore Long Xi's body into pieces. The pain made Long Xi's withered yellow eyes flash with green light. Xiaohua, Little White Dragon, and Long Xi Xiaohua were forced back step by the unstoppable force, and that knife-like wind blade even cut open the huge rocks of the realm of jade. Luckily, Little White Dragon looked at Long Si Xiaohua, who had the upper hand with lingering fear, and said, Long Si Xiaohua was distracted during this training, otherwise we would have all died in Long Si's mouth. Not necessarily. Long Si Xiaohua's expression suddenly changed, and said in a low voice, This Long Si's dragon might is starting to change. Not only that. Xiaohua's face also turned pale. Long Si Xiaohua has already appeared once with Ao Xing's body. I'm afraid he won't be able to last long this time. His dragon might and aura are already starting to weaken. At this moment, Long Si Xiaohua's sharp claws slashed through the air, and instantly created a several hundred jam long wound on Long Si's abdomen, and that faint golden blood flowed out from the wound. However, Long Si not only did not roar in pain, but instead let out a hiss, and this hiss actually had a hint of a dragon's roar. Looking at the wound, Kacha! It expanded, and a golden light flashed out from the wound, and a monster that looked like a python dragon poked its head out from the wound. -13. Chapter 40-43. Once this monster similar to Long Si appeared, a huge dragon might and an aura that could cause 10,000 dragons to tremble was released. It spread towards the depths of the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Even Dragon Hall's Great Elder couldn't help but tremble when facing this aura. It was hard for him to gather the dragon chi in his body. Not good! Dragon Hall's Great Elder shouted and transmitted his voice to Xiaohua. Quick! Taoist Master Xiao, ask these two immortal friends to come and help. This Long Si is about to advance. As long as he succeeds, the stacked Jade Legacy realm, no, the entire Dragon Island will be destroyed. You can't even deal with it with your 8th grade essence energy strength. How can we deal with it? Xiaohua was a bit hesitant. Right now, the only person in the entire stacked Jade Legacy realm who wasn't afraid of Long Si was probably him. Of course I can kill Long Si with my strength, Dragon Hall's Great Elder said anxiously. I even have the Heavenly Dragon technique that I haven't used yet. But this Long Si is the natural enemy of my dragon race. Before Long Si advanced, I could still resist his killing aura. Now that Long Si has started to advance, I'm afraid I can't resist anymore. And Taoist Master's two immortal friends have just condensed their bodies and came out of the dragon cleansing pool. They aren't afraid of Long Si's killing aura. Xiaohua squinted his eyes as if he was bargaining. But their strength is only at 6th grade essence energy. Relying on the dragon chi of the stacked Jade Legacy realm, they might reach 7th grade essence energy. Adding on Taoist Master, Great Elder's voice became more and more hurried, as if he couldn't breathe due to Long Si's killing aura. I can also use the Heavenly Dragon technique again. We might have the strength to fight. Long Si only consumes dragons, right? Xiaohua asked in confusion. Of course, the entire stacked Jade Legacy realm's dragon race. Great Elder was caught off guard and said casually. But just as he said that, he immediately understood Xiaohua's meaning and said angrily, Taoist Master Xiao Yu. Xiaohua's hand pinched his chin, looking at the new Long Si who was coming out of the bloodstains on Long Si's abdomen. He said calmly, Great Elder has already used this Xiao enough. Don't you feel that you are very unkind? But didn't you also find the dragon cleansing pool? Didn't he condense his body as well? The Grand Elder couldn't help but tremble. Even his voice was trembling. That new dragon priest killing intent was too powerful. If there is no Long Si, Xiaohua said with a smile, of course, I will abide by the agreement in the Dragon Palace. Besides, even if there is no Long Si, the thing that Ao Xing and Ao Zhan obtained in the deeper Yuan, you don't think that it flew out of nowhere, do you? All right. The Great Elder of the Dragon Palace naturally knew what Xiaohua was talking about. He also understood Xiaohua's meaning. He resolutely and decisively said, Long Yu will be given to a real person to comprehend for 1,000 years. No! How could Xiaohua agree? He waves his hand and says, Long Yu belongs to your Dragon Island. Now that this Xiao has found him, he should already belong to this Xiao. However, this Xiao is willing to return it to its rightful owner. As for when it will be returned, that will depend on my mood. At this point, the great elder of the Dragon Hall no longer had any room to bargain. He said without hesitation, "If you return it before you ascend, I will agree on behalf of the Dragon Hall. Otherwise, I will go all out, deal." Xiaohua saw Long Si break out of the cocoon, and did not dare to delay any longer. He hurriedly said, "Let's go together. Kill this bastard." "All right," the great elder of the Dragon Hall said again. "Long Si has advanced. There is a fetal belt in his abdomen. It is the essence of Long Si and is also Long Si's only weakness. My dragon race does not dare to approach that place. Only that immortal friend Five Claws can. However, that place is especially tough. Only Five Claws' dragon claws can break it. Once this fetal belt is broken, Long Si's essence will leak out. You can also kill him. What about you?" Xiaohua nodded and whispered to Little White Dragon and Dragon Vane Xiaohua. He then asked. The great elder of the Dragon Hall sneered. "Do you think this old man is useless? Even if this old man has to give up this primordial spirit, I will still kill Long Si. That is," Xiaohua said with a smile, "if Long Si does not die, I am afraid the entire Dragon Island will be in danger. Great Elder, if you have any trump cards, take them all out. Long Si cannot leave the stacked Jade Legacy realm." The Great Elder looked at Long Si and said with a decisive tone, "Without the true Dragon Tablet, no one can return to the Dragon Island." Roar! At this time, Long Si had already raised his head from the blood stains. Although there were no dragon horns on the beast's head and it did not have the shape of a dragon, a kind of beast roar that was extremely similar to that of the dragon race came out from its bloody mouth. When this sound came out, the Great Elder's dragon body trembled and shouted, "Taoist Master Xiao, we do not have time. Hurry up and do it." "All right." Xiaohua waved his hand and ordered, "We will attract Long Si's attention. Fellow Taoist Dragon Vane, you are responsible for killing Long Si." Roar! Little White and Dragon Vane Xiaohua roared at the same time, as if they were emboldening each other. The two huge dragons, one from the left and one from the back, pounced towards Long Si. Woo! Seeing the two dragons move, the Great Elder urged Ao Xing's dragon body and also rushed into the sky. However, before the Great Elder could get close to Long Si slightly moaned, and the Great Elder's body immediately trembled. He could not even fly and was about to fall. Wang! The Great Elder's dragon body suddenly flashed with brilliance, and streams of dragon aura surged from all directions. The dragon aura of the stacked Jade Legacy realm was first plundered by Dragon Vane Xiaohua's body, and now that Long Si had advanced, it was swept clean again, so the dragon aura that the Great Elder attracted this time was really insufficient. However, as the dragon aura poured in, the Great Elder opened his mouth, and obscure dragon language flew out from his mouth. Then, the Great Elder waved his dragon claws, and the space within hundreds of miles gradually condensed into a kind of crystal-like thing. Jie! At this time, Xiaohua did not care about hiding his strength anymore. He abandoned his transcendence golden body and gradually formed a demon body. The Phoenix Wu raised its head and screamed, flapping its wings and pouncing towards Long Si. Facing Long Si, the Phoenix Wu who had transformed into a phoenix did not have any natural fear. Even the sound that made the dragons go limp only made his heart tremble, and did not have any effect on his physical body. The Phoenix Wu waved its phoenix claws, and a mark that was hundreds of feet long flashed in midair, slashing towards Long Si like lightning. This sharp blade that could cut an ordinary cultivator in half did not seem to be in Long Si's eyes at all. Long Si sensed the abnormality and suddenly turned his head, spitting out dirty blood from his mouth. Swoosh! An extremely tough blood cloud blocked in front of the Phoenix Wu. Ka! Under the Phoenix Wu's sharp claws, this blood cloud actually made a golden sound. When the blood cloud was torn apart, the Phoenix Wu's strength had already disappeared, and the Phoenix Wu did not hesitate to extend its beak and peck at Long Si's forehead from afar. Long Si's forehead was originally stained with blood, but at this time, it seemed to have been washed away by the rain. Swoosh, swoosh! With a sound, a crack appeared between Long Si's brows. Long Si was shocked, and his figure flashed quickly. The hidden dragon patterns on his body flashed brilliantly, and he rushed out of the blood, wanting to block the Phoenix Wu's attack. At this time, Little White Dragon and Dragon Vane Xiaohua's attacks also arrived. The dragon claws landed on Long Si's skin, but with a caw-caw sound, the dragon patterns on Long Si's skin still flashed, and it actually blocked the attacks of the two dragons. One wang! At the same time, within a few miles of Long Si, the sound of wind whistling could be heard. Tens of thousands of huge scenery-like objects appeared out of thin air and stabbed into Long Si's skin from all directions. Although the skin flashed with dragon patterns and destroyed a portion of the scenery-like objects, there were still many of the scenery-like objects that stabbed into it. Boom boom! The scenery-like objects exploded, and the skin was also blasted into pieces. Large amounts of blood gushed out, and Long Si, who was not fully formed before, was exposed in midair. However, at the same time that the scenery-like objects exploded, Great Elder, who was using the Heavenly Dragon speech technique in midair, had traces of dragon blood seeping out of his dragon scales. His brilliance also dimmed a lot, and his entire body flew back several thousand feet. It was obvious that he was hit by Long Si's backlash. "This is all I can do!" Great Elder's extremely weak voice sounded. "Quickly kill Long Si! It can't be!" Feng Wu really didn't understand why Long Si was so powerful that even someone as strong as Great Elder was so powerless. However, he didn't dare to be careless. He flapped his wings, and the thin power of the stars and moon created a simple restriction. His entire body moved again, and he pounced towards Long Si. Little White Dragon also seemed to be going all out. Its entire body rapidly transformed, and it became extremely long as it desperately tried to entangle Long Si. Roar! Long Si sensed danger and roared loudly. His entire body expanded, and it was actually 10,000 feet long. However, the body that had just been pulled out of the scenery-like object looked abnormally slender. Moreover, although there was a large amount of dragon spiritual energy surging in from the stacked Jade Forgotten Realm, it was clearly not enough for Long Si to fully form. When Long Si roared, his body suddenly expanded. Little White Dragon's body made creaking sounds, as if it was about to be torn apart. On Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon head, the seven-colored dragon horn on his dragon head gave off an inexplicable fluctuation, firmly covering Long Si's forehead. The vague dragon crown also appeared, and a colorful light rushed towards Long Si. Swoosh! Feng Wu rushed over, and his sharp claws scratched Long Si's body. Several feet of flesh and blood were torn apart, and his other sharp claws pierced deeply into Long Si's body. Before Feng Wu's sharp claws could penetrate deeper, from the side of Long Si's body, a tentacle stretched out. Pa! It hit Feng Wu's phoenix body, and the huge force sent Feng Wu flying. Even his skin was torn apart by an extremely corrosive thing on the tentacle. See! Xiaohua sucked in a breath of cold air from the pain. Even his powerful body wasn't Long Si's opponent. How could an ordinary dragon be Long Si's opponent? Boom! The moment Long Si attacked Xiaohua, Dragon Vane Xiaohua pierced his dragon horn into Long Si's body. A huge explosion rang out, mixed with a bloody light that soared into the sky. Long Si's screams resounded through the air. All of the dragons were scared out of their wits when they heard the miserable screams. -13. Chapter 40-44. Although Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon horn had already pierced into Long Si's body, Long Si's screams were still loud and clear. It was far from being killed. At this moment, Xiaohua suddenly saw something that looked like a human baby's umbilical cord within the bloodstains. It was several zhang in size and was slightly wriggling in the bloodstains. Xiaohua was overjoyed and hurriedly transmitted his voice. Little White Dragon heard it, and swept its tail towards the umbilical cord. Boom! A loud sound was heard. The umbilical cord emitted a strange brilliance and cryptic fluctuations, not allowing the dragon tail to get close. Long C sensed Little White Dragon's intention and turned around to bite Little White Dragon. Roar! Long C was indeed the natural nemesis of the dragon race. Long C had not completely transformed yet. With just a small bite, it immediately bit off a large part of Little White Dragon's neck. This pain was not only physical, but also spiritual and other mysterious parts. Little White Dragon was in so much pain that it raised its head and roared. Not only that, Long C's dragon claw even reached into Little White Dragon's chest. With a pu sound, the dragon body formed by the dragon cleansing pool was like a piece of paper under Long C's dragon claw. Roar! Little White Dragon threw caution to the wind. Ignoring the tearing pain all over its body, it once again urged its dragon chi and wrapped its body around Long C. At this critical moment, Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon claw quietly reached out from Little White Dragon's side and grabbed Long C's umbilical cord. Just as Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon claw reached out, Long C had already sensed it. He roared and turned around to escape. However, although Little White Dragon was covered in blood, it still risked its life to entangle Long C. Above Long C's head, Feng Wu once again pounced and blocked Long C's escape with its huge wings. Suddenly, Long C's immature tail pulled out from the blood and landed on Dragon Bloodlion Xiaohua's back. This Long C's tail was even sharper than a sword. A deep wound appeared on Dragon Bloodlion Xiaohua's back, revealing the bone. When had Dragon Vane Xiaohua ever suffered such great pain? Xiaohua's entire dragon body was trembling. However, it was also at this crucial moment that Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon claw suddenly reached into his fetal belt. The defense that Little White Dragon was unable to break through was even more like crumbs under Xiaohua's dragon claws. As the dragon claws penetrated, a burst of blood that emitted a fragrant smell spurted out like a fountain of blood. Looking at the unusually ferocious Long C, she looked like a giant dragon whose tendons had been pulled out. She fell limp in the air and hung down on the Little White Dragon like a vine. At the same time, the dragon might that intimidated the dragons and the murderous aura that could kill dragons instantly disappeared. Whoosh! Suddenly, a dragon shape appeared. Without waiting for Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon claw to pull out, it swallowed Long C's womb and other parts. It even swallowed Long C's abdomen, which was more than 100 feet away. Grand Elder Yu! Feng Wu's body had yet to recover, and he flapped his wings and shouted in midair. Ao Xing's dragon body appeared in midair. His dragon head was still stained with blood, but his dragon eyes were filled with ecstasy. He said, "Spiritual Master Xiao, you've only eaten meat. No matter what, you should let me drink some soup." That voice was Ao Xing's. "You! Don't you think you're too shameless?" Xiaohua recovered his body, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If it was Dragon Hall's Grand Elder, Xiaohua might have fought for something, but facing Ao Xing, Xiaohua really didn't know what to say. It was probably because of this that Dragon Hall's Grand Elder let Ao Xing out. Just as Xiaohua's voice fell, he suddenly remembered something. He hurriedly took out a yin-yang bracelet, and with his mind, he swept Long C's body into the space. "What are you doing?" Ao Xing was also shocked. He shouted, "Quickly kill Long C! Don't raise a tiger and invite calamity! Long C's womb was swallowed by you. Can he still do whatever he wants?" Xiaohua asked. Ao Xing thought for a moment, then shook his head and said, "Long C's womb has been lost. He can no longer cause harm to my dragon race. At best, he is now a strange beast of the dragon field. And an immature strange beast. Then it's settled." Xiaohua looked at the Little White Dragon and the Dragon Vane. Xiaohua transformed into his human form, and his body was covered in blood. He said fiercely, "This Long C is too despicable. I'm determined to make him regret it for the rest of his life. All right." Ao Xing knew that he couldn't get back what fell into Xiaohua's hands. He hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, Since you want to take Long Si, then you have to be responsible for my dragon race. Don't let this Long Si come out alive. If he eats my dragon race's brain, he might be able to recover. Don't worry. Xiaohua patted his chest and said, In this old man's hands, how can I let him escape? At this point, Xiaohua changed the topic and said, Oh, also, North Sea Dragon Palace's Aojing and the others were not killed by me. Now that I have Long Si, I believe you can testify for me. Although I'm not afraid of North Sea Dragon Palace, I don't want to cause trouble. Aojing looked Xiaohua up and down and said with a smile, Didn't you offend North Sea Dragon Palace's Aojing? Aojing came to settle the score with you, so it's normal for you to kill him. Look, you killed Long Si. Doesn't that phoenix body, which is even more powerful than a dragon's body, prove that you're the one who killed Aojing? Why would I kill Aojing? Xiaohua waved his hand and said, At that time, Little White and this brother Long had yet to condense their bodies. How could I be a match for Aojing and the other 5 dragons alone? Other than being killed by Long Si, what other possibility could there be? The problem is, Aojing replied, Aojing and the other 5 dragons' brains weren't eaten by Long Si, hiss. Aojing's words were like a bolt of lightning, instantly waking Xiaohua up. He had a strange feeling in his heart. Then, he reached out his hand and took out the body of a dragon. He said anxiously, Could it be that Aojing is the same as this dragon? You actually killed one of my dragon race's descendants? Aojing chuckled. Now I've caught you red-handed. Not good. Xiaohua looked at the wound on his chest that was torn by a sharp weapon and exclaimed, There are other dragon domain beasts in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. These beasts eat the heart and lungs of the dragon race. Impossible, right? What? What other dragon domain beasts can there be? Aojing was stunned. Little White Dragon and Dragon Vein Xiaohua also quivered. After all, Long Si almost killed the dragon race that was training. If another one came, who would be able to escape? Quickly run, why hasn't the stacked Jade Legacy realm closed? At this moment, there was a burst of chaos in the distance. Shocked voices and miserable cries could be heard. Xiao! Daoist Xiao! Aojing flew over from the distance. As he flew, he shouted loudly, Quickly run! There's a beast! While he was speaking, a several zhang large black figure flew up from the ground. This black figure moved slightly and immediately disappeared in the air. When it reappeared, it had already landed on top of Aojing's head. How could it be? When Xiaohua saw that black figure, he unconsciously looked like a mortal who had seen a ghost. His face was deathly pale, and an incredulous cry of surprise escaped his mouth. He was actually 10 times more surprised than when he saw Long Si. What blocked Aojing's head was a several zhang large strange insect. Half of this strange insect's size was its head. There were 2 long feelers on its head. The feelers were serrated. They looked very sharp. Behind the feelers were 2 skull-sized pitch-black spots. This pitch-black spot seemed to be made up of thousands of even smaller pitch-black spots. Looking at the strange insect's body again, it was slightly protruding. Layers of gray spots stacked together. The gray spots converged at the strange insect's tail, condensing into a several-inch-long spike. The spike emitted a grayish-black color. On both sides of the strange insect's body, there was a pair of several zhang long wings. When they flapped, they emitted a black light. Under the wings, there were 2 even longer hind legs on its abdomen, like a pair of long halberds. Those hind legs streaked across the air, setting off strands of ripples. It actually tore the space apart. Wasn't this the strange insect that Xiaohua and Sun Jian joined hands to kill in the void that year? However, this strange insect was more than 10 times bigger than the one Xiaohua had seen before. That year, that 2 qilong strange insect gave Xiaohua and Sun Jian, who were at the lower 5th grade of essence energy, a headache. If Xiaohua hadn't used his spiritual fire to launch a sneak attack, he probably wouldn't have been able to escape from the strange insect's attack. Moreover, the hind legs that Xiaohua obtained from the strange insect's body were refined into the soul execution vital light. The sharpness of those hind legs increased the might of the soul execution vital light by 30%. Now, although Xiaohua's strength had reached the upper 6th grade of essence energy, and he had 2 huge dragons by his side, but how could he be a match for this strange insect? Thinking about those dragons that were easily killed by the strange insect and Aozhing, and the others that died under the strange insect's sharp teeth, Xiaohua immediately made a decision. He then angrily roared, "Little White, don't move! I will take care of you first. Aozhing, if you want to live, quickly carry this old man and escape." While speaking, Xiaohua's arms shook and the universe bracelet that he didn't have time to put away shook, putting the little white dragon into the space. However, it was a bit troublesome to put Dragon Vein Xiaohua into the space. Dragon Vein Xiaohua couldn't enter Xiaohua's space. Xiaohua didn't have time to think at this time. His figure floated onto Aozhing's back. Aozhing roared and used the dragon race's secret technique to fly into the distance. Dragon Vein Xiaohua flew beside Aozhing. "Fellow Dragon Vein," Xiaohua transmitted, "can you still return to Ai's body?" Dragon Vein Xiaohua hurriedly replied, "Ai's dragon body hasn't completely solidified yet, it should still be possible." "All right," Xiaohua urged. "Don't resist, I will try to take you in first." Immediately, Xiaohua's mind covered Dragon Vein Xiaohua. Dragon Vein Xiaohua's dragon body quickly shrank and fell into Xiaohua's meridians. However, once Dragon Vein Xiaohua entered Xiaohua's body, Xiaohua immediately felt his body sink, as if there was something heavy entering his body. Of course, this heavy feeling only lasted for a moment. On the contrary, Aozhing's dragon body suddenly sank and he cried out in shock. "Xiaohua, why are you so heavy?" Before Xiaohua could speak, Aozhan's cry for help came from behind. "Spiritual Master Xiao, save me!" -13. Chapter 40-45. Hearing this, Xiaohua's heart sank. It was even heavier than when Xiaohua entered the dragon vein just now. Aozhing was also somewhat hesitant. He slowed down and asked in a low voice, "Taoist Xiao, what should we do? Should we save him or not?" "Damn it, why are you asking me?" Xiaohua was going crazy. "You should ask yourself. You have the Great Elder's soul in your body. The Great Elder can't appear again." Aozhing smiled bitterly. "That old man is only using my dragon body to survive, so he can't use too many divine abilities. He just used the heavenly dragon speech technique and used up too much of his yuan qi. If he uses it again, I'll really lose this primordial spirit. And if he loses this primordial spirit, the Great Elder's vitality will be greatly damaged and his position on the Dragon Island may not be stable. If the Great Elder's position is unstable, my Dragon Island may be in chaos. If the Dragon Island is in chaos..." As he spoke, Aozhing didn't dare to continue. "If that's the case, why are you asking me?" Xiaohua replied snappily. "I don't have the Great Elder's divine ability, so it's impossible to save Aozhan from that strange insect." "But Aozhan has that crystal dragon," Aozhing replied. "Moreover, if Aozhan dies here, the Gui clan will have no leader, the 10 clans of the Dragon Island will not be able to gather, and even the 9 clans will be in chaos again. You're just a small clan elder, why are you worrying so much?" Xiaohua ridiculed. "Although I'm still young, I have a lot of responsibilities on my shoulders." Aozhing's figure completely stopped. "I can't let the Dragon Island fall apart." "Sigh, yes." Xiaohua looked at the struggling Aozhan and sighed. "If you don't kill this strange insect, not only will your Dragon Island not be able to come to this folded jade legacy realm, even the Dragon Island may be in danger, even the 3 continents will be in danger." "Taoist has seen this strange insect before?" Aozhing suddenly realized. "Taoists must have a way to kill this strange insect." "I did before." Xiaohua smiled bitterly. "But this folded jade legacy realm's spatial laws are changing. I can't use my divine ability, I'm afraid it won't work. Since you have it, we'll turn back now, Aoshing said anxiously. I've already thought about it. Even if you and I manage to escape with our lives, if all the dragons in the 3 rivers and 4 seas are killed, we won't have the face to go out. Rather than that, we might as well fight to the death. All right. Xiao Huan knew that what Aoshing said was reasonable, and this strange insect was too powerful. If he couldn't escape before the stacking Jade Forgotten Realm closed, after the strange insect killed all the dragons, it would definitely attack him. He might as well take this opportunity to join forces with the dragons to kill this strange insect. We will return, Xiao Hua instructed. Instruct the dragon race of the 3 rivers and 4 seas. Not only is this strange insect proficient in devouring, its skin is also tough and thick. Ordinary dragon artifacts cannot harm it in the slightest. It's best to let it devour some spiritual objects of heaven and earth when it's unprepared, so that the spiritual objects of heaven and earth's yuan qi of heaven and earth explode. All right. Aoshing hurriedly moved his body, and Xiao Hua followed Aoshing to the strange insect. Woo! His whole body flashed with a bronze luster as he used the Heavenly Law's embodiment technique. Falling from the sky, he shouted, Ao Zhan, don't panic, this Xiao is coming! King! Without waiting for Xiao Hua to land, a light that was close to nothingness flashed, and one of the strange insect's hind legs strangely swept across, slashing at Xiao Hua's waist. Seeing the strange insect's almost perfect sneak attack, Xiao Hua's heart turned cold. He somewhat understood why Ao Zhan was not killed by the strange insect. It was not because Ao Zhan's strength was superior, but because the strange insect used Ao Zhan to lure him and Aoshing. This strange insect's hind legs had been lying in ambush in the void for a long time. This strange insect was much more cunning than the ones he encountered before. Xiao Hua's courage to turn back disappeared by more than half. Xiao Hua's heart moved, and he immediately took out the wishful staff. With a loud clang, the wishful staff was cut with a deep cut, and the strange insect's hind legs bent again, bypassing the wishful staff. With a zing sound, the sharp point just happened to cut across the surface of Xiao Hua's body. A burning pain appeared on the surface of Xiao Hua's body, and a wound several inches deep was revealed. Xiao Hua's monster body that was tougher than a dragon's body, and his transcendence golden body that would not be damaged by ordinary magic weapons, was actually injured by the strange insect in this face-to-face encounter. That kind of indescribable horror immediately emerged from the bottom of Xiao Hua's heart. Even when facing Long Si just now, he did not feel a sense of crisis, and it suddenly shrouded Xiao Hua. I understand. Xiao Hua suddenly woke up. Could it be, the danger this Xiao has been worried about is this strange insect? However, at this time, Xiao Hua did not have time to think too much, because the strange insect's whip-like tentacles were about to hit him. These tentacles were now only a few dozen feet long, and compared to Xiao Hua's transcendence golden body, it was really insignificant, but Xiao Hua did not dare to be careless at all. Using the ethereal steps, he hurriedly dodged. This Xiao Hua will help you! When Ao Zhan saw Xiao Hua turn around to save him, he was extremely grateful. The long spear in his hand danced, stabbing at the strange insect from the side. Woo! The strange insect spread its wings, and a layer of gray fog rose up, blocking Ao Zhan's long spear. Facing the seemingly illusory fog, Ao Zhan's long spear actually could not pierce it. Ao Zhan hurriedly pulled back, and the end of his spear was about to swing out. Clang! A sound of metal rang out, and the strange insect's front leg swung, and Ao Zhan's long spear was easily cut into two. Quickly run! Xiao Hua saw that Ao Zhan was a little dazed, and hurriedly reminded him. At this time, Ao Zhan understood why he was not killed by the strange insect earlier. He shuddered, and his figure quickly retreated. It was also in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint. Shwa! The strange insect's hind leg swayed again, and a few dozen feet long blood line appeared from Ao Zhan's abdomen. Just a little bit more, and Ao Zhan's stomach would have been cut open by the strange insect. Ao Zhan was covered in cold sweat, and looking at this strange insect that was 100 times more terrifying than Long Si, he quickly flew away. Quickly call Ao Xing, he has a way! At this time, what else could Xiaohua say? He hurriedly urged Ao Zhan to find Ao Xing. When the strange insect saw Ao Zhan escape, it did not chase after him. The eyes formed by thousands of small black pieces flashed, and its figure jumped towards Xiaohua. The brilliance around Xiaohua's body flashed again, and his body shrank, returning to its normal size. He waved the wishful staff and fought with the strange insect. Shua! In just a few moves, the strange insect's front legs slashed, and its speed was comparable to lightning. Xiaohua could not dodge at all, and a deep wound appeared on his back. However, this wound had just appeared, and the demonic qi in the blood surged, quickly repairing it. However, before this wound could be repaired, whoosh! Another hind leg stretched out from the void, adding another wound on Xiaohua's back. Damn it! I don't have the strength to fight back at all! How can this be? Xiaohua's heart was clenched together. He was originally good at physical strength, and almost invincible in close combat, but all of this was child's play in front of this strange insect. His Taoist, Confucian, Buddhist, and other supernatural powers were restricted, so how could he fight with this strange insect? Now that the spatial laws have changed, this Zhao's spiritual fire can't be activated. Either I use the demonic body, or that white bone! Xiaohua used the ethereal steps to desperately resist as he thought in his heart. At this time, a strange hiss came from his ears. Xiaohua was startled and hurriedly looked over. He saw a pitch-black dot of light falling in front of him like a meteor. It was the tail of the strange insect. Its sharp stinger tore through the void. Before Xiaohua could react, it had already pierced his forehead. It was the location of the delusion breaker Dharma eye. Damn it! Xiaohua's forehead seemed to be split open by a sharp sword, and there was a sharp pain in the illusion breaker eye. This sudden attack of the strange insect was really powerful, and Xiaohua was actually forced to the end, without any strength to dodge. Wang wang wang! At this critical moment, strange sounds came from all around, and dozens of strange things flew out from midair. These things were like a beehive, and the sound of wind blew out from hundreds of holes, and they also emitted the fragrance of people. The body of the strange insect suddenly stopped, and it gave up on Xiaohua, suddenly turned around. With a wave of its antennae, the dozens of things were immediately split in half, and a golden liquid flowed out from these things. That strange insect opened its sawtoothed mouth and sucked on the nearest thing, and the liquid dripped into the body of the strange insect. Woo-woo! The fog around the strange insect's body rose again, and its entire body swelled up by half, but in just a moment, the strange insect returned to its original state and pounced on another thing. Xiaohua escaped death by the skin of his teeth, and a layer of cold sweat appeared on his back. That rock-hard arm of his couldn't help but tremble slightly. He didn't dare to make another sound, and urged his body to quietly fly away slowly. And far away, Ao Xing, Ao Zhan, and a few other dragons were standing in midair carefully, and each of them took out their dragon shell. Those dozens of things were the underwater spiritual objects that the dragons of the West Sea Dragon Palace took out. Ao Xing. Xiaohua didn't have time to say anything, and transmitted his voice. Ordinary spiritual objects are completely useless. We need to use foreign objects. I understand. Ao Xing smiled bitterly. My 3 Rivers 4 Seas dragon race has countless treasures, and this morning dregs is also one of them. There are also things that are richer in spiritual energy than this morning dregs, but the problem is, we came to the folded jadeite legacy realm to train, who would bring so many spiritual objects. Then, facing this extremely vicious strange insect, Xiaohua really didn't have many divine abilities that he could use, and he was somewhat helpless. Raising his head to look at the faintly discernible folded jadeite in midair, Xiaohua asked again. When will the folded jadeite legacy realm close? If we can't kill this strange insect, I'm afraid we can only lure it to the Dragon Island. No, definitely not. Ao Xing shook his head resolutely. Swoosh! Just as they were discussing, That strange insect suddenly abandoned the morning dregs, and with a flash, it suddenly appeared in front of a dragon. Without waiting for that dragon to react, the strange insect's hind legs slashed, and the dragon's chest and abdomen were instantly torn apart. The strange insect's entire body sank into the dragon's body, and in just a moment, its sharp teeth stretched out, and it was precisely the dragon's heart and lungs that were swallowed into its mouth. Looking at the bloody strange insect coming out of the dragon's chest and abdomen, the group of dragons suddenly dispersed. Facing this strange foreign object, the always valiant dragon race was like a helpless beggar. -13. Chapter 40-46. Damn it! This strange insect should have the strength of a 9th-grade essence energy, right? Ao Jean cursed as he fled. Thinking about how he escaped from the strange insect just now, it was a miracle. Don't run too far! Ao Xing suddenly shouted. Let's take out the spiritual items in the dragon shell and try to attract this strange insect to eat the spiritual items. If we scatter, we can only let this strange insect kill us one by one. The time of the stacked jade Forgotten Realm is almost up. Let's hold on for a while more. Ao Jean also stopped. The princes of the Three Seas Dragon Palace also seemed to have woken up and stopped running. They all hurriedly took out the dragon shell and nervously rummaged through it, trying to find a spiritual item that could save their lives. The stacked jade spring flower and the stacked jade Forgotten Realm had already gradually disappeared. The true dragon tablet in Xiaohua's hand also emitted a faint fluctuation, but this fluctuation was not enough to send them out of the stacked jade Forgotten Realm. Shua! After the strange insect finished eating the dragon's heart and lungs, it moved again and teleported to the side of the East Sea Dragon Palace. The dragons of the East Sea Dragon Palace trembled as they took out a few bright dragon pearls. After the strange insect swallowed them, its body grew a bit bigger, and the mist around it surged, looking very carefree. After that, the strange insect teleported again and pounced on a dragon beside Ao Xing, obviously wanting to devour the dragon's flesh and blood again. Ao! Ao Xing roared again as a mountainous dragon's aura appeared. The Dragon Palace Great Elder could not tolerate the strange insect eating his people in front of him, so he revealed himself again. Woo! The Great Elder's dragon's aura appeared and immediately attracted the strange insect's attention. The strange insect left the dragon and pounced on the Great Elder. Xiaohua, help me block it for a moment! The Great Elder quickly retreated as dragon chi surged around him as he ordered loudly. Xiaohua was very helpless. He took out the wishful staff in one hand and some spiritual herbs and magic treasures in the other hand as he fought with the strange insect. Even with the spiritual herbs, in just a moment, Xiaohua's body had several more wounds. Roar, roar! Several obscure dragon language came out from the Great Elder's mouth. Around the strange insect, a crystal shackled, and this crystal shackled the strange insect. Boom! With a loud sound, the strange insect was flattened by the crystal. But in the blink of an eye, the strange insect's flat body landed on the crystal and began to devour it. On the other hand, the First Elder's body became weak again. Xiaohua! Suddenly, the First Elder's voice came from Xiaohua's ears. This old man will entrust Ao Sheng to you. You have to bring him out of the stacked jade legacy realm. What are you doing? Xiaohua had a bad feeling in his heart. He looked at Ao Xing's dragon armor and saw a ball of blood-red light. The ball of light let out a roar similar to the dragon language and turned into a crystal dragon that pounced on the strange insect. Woo! As soon as the strange insect saw the crystal dragon, it immediately abandoned the crystal and flapped its wings towards the crystal dragon. Whoosh! Facing the sharp teeth of the strange insect, the crystal dragon suddenly accelerated and rushed into it. Boom! With a loud bang, the left side of the strange insect's body was torn apart. Xiaohua understood that this was the great clan elder abandoning his primordial spirit and wanting to perish together with this strange insect. However, the first elder still underestimated this strange insect. After the small half of the strange insect's body was torn apart, the mist around its body was born again. Strands of mist shuttled between the strange insect's body and immediately repaired it. Looking at the eyes of the strange insect, it was staring at Aoshing, who had already lost his strength. It was ready to split his chest and abdomen open at any time and devour the delicious dragon's heart and lungs. Quick! Xiaohua reminded, and without hesitation, he took out a lot of spiritual grass and threw it in the air, wanting to attract the strange insect's attention. Buzz, buzz! At this moment, a faint buzzing sound came from the distance, and a few balls of light appeared. A dragon cried out with a sad and happy voice. My true dragon card has been activated! The stacked Jade Legacy realm is finally closing! Unfortunately, before he could finish speaking, the strange insect's figure flashed and appeared in front of him. There was no suspense at all. Wherever its tentacles passed, not only was the true dragon token annihilated, but even the dragon clan was split into two. Run, run, run! Aoshing shouted loudly. Those dragons who were like earthworms and didn't dare to use their divine abilities immediately scattered. As the true dragon cards flashed, they disappeared on the spot one by one. Woo woo! The strange insect chased after these lights. Although some of the dragons disappeared, they were still killed by the strange insect. Roar! Aoshing was anxious and pounced at the strange insect with a roar. Xiaohua was even more shocked and shouted, Damn it, Aoshing, do you want to die? With that said, Xiaohua also hurriedly rushed over, throwing out spirit grass and magic treasures one by one, wanting to attract the strange insect. Aoshing was not a fool. Seeing that the strange insect was attracted by him, he hurriedly flew towards Xiaohua, and in the dragon claw, he threw out one item after another. Woo woo! The strange insect flew over and swallowed all the spiritual grass and other things. These spiritual grass and other things were not special. The mist around the strange insect's body did not have any special changes. Seeing that the strange insect was about to pounce, Aoshing screamed and threw out the long bay in his hand. The heroic spirit from before was completely gone. He shouted, Xiaohua, save me! Nonsense! Xiaohua used the wishful rod to tease the strange insect. What are you screaming for? Aren't you courting death? Wang. At this moment, the true dragon card in Aoshing's hand flashed and covered Aoshing. After the strange insect swallowed Aoshing's long bay, its hind legs drew a line in the air and pierced into the brilliance of the true dragon card very easily. Be careful, Aoshing! Xiaohua was shocked. Aoshing was about to fall under the strange insect's hind legs. Whoop! Suddenly, a scene that Xiaohua was familiar with occurred. The strange insect's body emitted an intense rumbling sound, and the strange insect's body instantly expanded to a size of 300 meters. Then, the gray mist flourished, and the strange insect shrunk again to a size of 100 meters. This process repeated 3 times, and the strange insect's body could no longer be controlled. It expanded to a size of 300 meters, and with a loud bang, it completely exploded. How is this possible? Isn't this too strange? Xiaohua was dumbstruck. His body was blown 100 feet away by this explosion. Wang. At this moment, Xiaohua's true dragon card also began to flash with brilliance. However, after a few breaths, all the other dragons disappeared along with the brilliance of the true dragon card. However, the brilliance of Xiaohua's true dragon card flickered several times and his body still couldn't disappear. Damn it, what's going on? Xiaohua was a little anxious. Looking at the nearby space that was beginning to distort in the Forgotten Realm, he knew that the time in the Forgotten Realm had begun to change. In a flash, Xiaohua suddenly thought, Dragon Vein Xiaohua! Damn it, it must be! He is now in this Zhao's body and his dragon body was condensed by the dragon cleansing pool. This true dragon card probably can't bring the dragon's spiritual energy of the dragon domain back to the dragon island. But the problem is, why can't Dragon Vein Xiaohua enter the space? Could it be because of the dragon's spiritual energy? But if Little White Dragon can, why can't he? If I want to return to the dragon island, this Xiao is afraid that this Xiao will have to conceal Dragon Vein Xiaohua's dragon's spiritual energy. Thinking of this, Xiaohua tried to use the Devil Realm's blood drop paradise to conceal dragon vein Xiaohua. Sure enough, as the devil blood surged, Xiaohua's body slightly blurred and was about to disappear. Hee, don't worry! The moment Xiaohua's figure disappeared, the greedy Xiaohua smiled again. His figure reappeared and he hurriedly flew in all directions. He released his divine sense and collected the corpse of the strange insect, as well as the dragon shell and dragon body scattered on the ground. He collected them all into the space. After a meal, seeing that the surrounding scenery was already blurred, Xiaohua urged the devil blood to completely conceal dragon vein Xiaohua. Only then did his body completely disappear. Light and shadow fluctuated. An indescribable feeling emerged from Xiaohua's Naiwen palace. It was as if a huge hand was vigorously shaking him. This was something Xiaohua had never encountered before. When the scenery in front of Xiaohua's eyes stopped, an extremely disgusting feeling surged up. Xiaohua's body couldn't help but curl up. He released his consciousness vigilantly. However, when he saw the surroundings clearly, he put it down again. Ao Xing's slightly mocking voice rang in his ears. Spiritual Master Xiao, how is it? How does it feel to go back in time? Xiaohua knew that Ao Xing was somewhat dissatisfied with his coercion in the stacked jade ruins, so he simply ignored him. He closed his eyes and rested. The feeling of heaven and earth spinning slowly disappeared. Then, he straightened his body and stretched his body. In front of him was still the Dragon Island. The serene blue sea water filled the surroundings. Although Xiaohua couldn't take a long breath of fresh air like usual, this tranquil and safe atmosphere was enough to make him feel relaxed and happy. Xiaohua turned around and looked behind him. The huge rock that was 10,000 zhang tall had now recovered. Other than a few deep cracks on the surface of the huge rock, it was no different from before. The dragon soldiers and dragon generals who were previously guarding this place with bright armor were already very few. Looking at the huge rock and thinking about the bloody storm that happened within the huge rock in just a moment, Xiaohua felt as if a lifetime had passed. Spiritual Master, Ao Xing said with a smile behind him. You helped the Great Elder to kill Long Sea and even helped me kill the Dragon Realm's strange insects. You saved thousands of my dragons who were training in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. You have done a great service to my Dragon Island. My Dragon Palace's 9th Elder is already waiting in the Dragon Palace, ready to reward you. Spiritual Master, please. Oh? Xiaohua was startled. He secretly pondered in his heart. That strange insect was obviously killed by Ao Xing. How did it fall on his head? However, when he saw Ao Xing winking at him, he seemed to have understood something. Xiaohua's expression didn't change. He slightly nodded and replied, Since I was blessed by the Dragon Island and entered the stacked jade ruins to train, I naturally had to consider the safety of the descendants of the Dragon Island. Killing Long Sea and the strange insect was also considered for my own safety. There's no need to be too grand. Ao Xing laughed. Spiritual Master, leave these words for the Dragon Palace. Don't worry. Xiaohua raised his hand and asked, Where's the dragon clan of the West Sea Dragon Palace? I want to find that old turtle Xiancheng. Oh? Why are you looking for Xiancheng? Ao Xing was slightly startled. However, he immediately came back to his senses and laughed. Is it because Xiancheng slandered you for killing Ao Zheng of the North Sea Dragon Palace? Of course. Xiaohua clenched his teeth until they creaked. This guy hit me when I'm down, how can I forgive him? -13. Chapter 40-47. Forget it. Ao Xing waved his hand and said, He doesn't know you, what's there to add insult to injury? Besides, you should have fought with Ao Zheng, right? It's not wrong for him to speculate based on that. Xiaohua and Xianqing were both well aware of the secret between the two of them. No one dared to say it. Of course, Xiaohua couldn't say anything to Ao Xing at this time, he could only insist. No, I can't be slandered for no reason. If you came out 3 days earlier, naturally you can. Ao Xing shrugged his shoulders, stretched out his dragon claw, and said helplessly. Unfortunately, you came out now. The Dragon Palace of the Four Seas suffered a lot in the folded jade ruins. They had already left the Dragon Island in a hurry. Where are you going to find them? 3 days? Xiaohua was stunned. I clearly only stayed in the folded jade ruins for the time of a meal. The time of the folded jade ruins has begun to change. Ao Xing explained. Your meal in there is naturally 3 days in the Dragon Island. It's like a day in the Immortal Palace is equivalent to a year in the hidden Immortal Continent. Speaking of this, Ao Xing's face showed that he was thinking, and said softly, What was Taoist doing in there during the time of a meal? Oh, damn it, my poor dragon shell, that's a treasure that I've plundered for God knows how many years. All of a sudden, it's all gone. You know what's inside, right? Xiaohua hurriedly asked. What treasure is so useful? I presume you have a plan in these 3 days? Ao Xing replied with a sad face. Indeed. I thought for these 3 days, I also have a plan in my heart. It's probably a treasure called the Saint Dragon Seal. Alas, what a pity for my other treasures! Why did I? Speaking of this, Ao Xing immediately came over, lowered his head and said, Taoist, what were you doing in there during the time of a meal? What can I do? Xiaohua jumped and said, You think I didn't want to come out? I was trapped inside and couldn't get out. Damn it, you scared me to death. If I can't get out now, the next time you see me, I'm afraid you'll be like Ao Jiao. How can I not get out? Ao Xing was a little puzzled. Can't you use your true dragon plate? Of course I can. But that person can't. Xiaohua replied somewhat resentfully. Ao Xing was shocked, but he still mumbled doubtfully. Junren, if you have any ideas, you can say them now. Once we get to the Dragon Palace, you won't have the chance. Xiaohua glared at him and said fiercely. Nonsense, isn't it because of you? Why didn't you tell me earlier that Grand Elder's primordial spirit is in your body? Ao Xing shrunk his neck and his voice became even softer. I wouldn't dare. So, your long bay was thrown away for nothing. You won't be able to get your Saint Dragon insignia back. Serves you right. Xiaohua said, then urged again. Why aren't you bringing me to the Dragon Palace Hall? All right. Ao Xing looked around. He had been guarding this place for 3 days because he wanted to get some benefits from Xiaohua. Unfortunately, Xiaohua was stingy. It seemed like his 3 days of waiting had been wasted. Above the Dragon Palace Hall, it was a little different from before. It really revealed the true appearance of the Dragon Palace Hall. The 10 dragon pillars seemed to be connected to the heavens and the earth as they stood above the huge dragon-shaped hall. The surroundings were filled with endless 10,000 dragon catalog. The 9 elders were coiled around the dragon pillars. They seemed to be very far away, but also seemed to be very close. The entire hall was filled with a solemn dragon's might. Xiaohua came to the Dragon Palace Hall, and Ao Xing quietly retreated to the side. The great elder's voice sounded. Jinren Xiao, we have already heard from Ao Xing about this time's experience in the Stacking Jade Legacy realm. Jinren's contribution is great. If it wasn't for Jinren's strength, I'm afraid that my dragon clan would have been completely annihilated. This old man thanks Jinren. With that, the great elder raised his dragon claw and bowed solemnly. Xiaohua didn't dare to be negligent, and hurriedly bowed and said, Just now, Junior has already told Ao Xing about this matter. Junior used the Dragon Clan's legacy realm to train, so naturally, I have to contribute to the Dragon Clan. Great Elder is too polite. Jinren Xiao is righteous. The Great Elder sighed. Jinren entered the Stacking Jade legacy realm to train. This old man also hurriedly looked up Jinren's actions in these years. Not only this old man, all the elders of my Dragon Palace Hall were moved by Jinren's compassion for the state of the universe. Our Dragon Palace Hall has never seen a Taoist cultivator like Jinren who cares about the common people of the world. Oh? Xiaohua's eyes turned, and hurriedly took out a pile of universe bangles and dragon shell from his bosom, and said with a smile, Since that's the case, I'll have to trouble Dragon Island with these grains. The 3 rivers and 4 seas, and the 3 continents are really big. This Zhao's strength is not enough, and there are many places that I can't go to. Please borrow the power of Dragon Island to spread these grains all over the world, so that there will no longer be hungry people in this world. Ah? The Great Elder was stunned, but he immediately nodded. The merit of this matter is immeasurable. Although my dragon clan doesn't cultivate merit, how can my Dragon Island miss such a good thing in front of us? Fourth Elder, this matter will be supervised by you. Yes, Great Elder. On the distant stone pillar, the Great Elder scooped up the universe bangles and dragon shell from Xiaohua's hands with a huge dragon claw. Junior thanks Dragon Island on behalf of the common people of the world. Xiaohua hurriedly bowed. All right. The Great Elder nodded. This matter has already passed. Taoist Master Xiao, can I trouble you to tell us a little bit about the experience in the Stacking Jade Legacy realm? Although Ao Xing and the other Dragon Clan descendants have already verbally reported, there are still some secrets that we don't know. Xiaohua understood the Great Elders. A little bit of explanation. He nodded and said, even if Great Elder didn't mention this matter, Junior would still have to report it, so as to avoid any problems in the future when Dragon Island's descendants are training. Immediately after, Xiaohua told everything that he had experienced. Of course, he used the 9 false and 1 real technique to perfection, so he wasn't afraid of being seen through by the Dragon Clan's 9th Elder. Sigh. After listening, the 2nd Elder sighed and said, this old man really didn't expect that this time's training in the Stacking Jade Legacy realm would actually have so many strange things appear. Not only did Dragon Domain's Long Sea appear, even the strange insects from the other domain came. In front of these strange insects, my valiant Dragon Clan simply couldn't withstand a single blow. If there are a few more of these strange insects, my Dragon Island will be in trouble. Taoist Master Xiao, that method of killing the strange insects is... The 6th Elder hesitated for a moment and asked. Xiaohua shrugged and said with a bitter smile. At that time, Junior was panicking and took out a lot of spiritual items from the Qianquan pouch. Junior is also not clear about the effect of those spiritual items. However, from Junior's experience of fighting with the strange insects twice, this strange insect can only be killed in this way. Taoist Master, where did you encounter the strange insects last time? The 4th Elder asked probingly. Xiaohua said with a smile. This is Junior's secret, forgive me for not being able to report it. And let's not talk about this anymore. The Great Elder nodded. If Taoist Master Xiao didn't have this kind of experience, my Dragon Clan would have suffered even more losses. However, Taoist Master Xiao, your human clan emphasizes on being buried in peace. My Dragon Clan also emphasizes on being still after being overturned. The Dragon Clan's corpses also have a special way to bury them, so that their corpses won't be disturbed by outsiders. Hearing the Great Elder's change of topic, Xiaohua immediately understood. He took out another Qianquan bracelet and respectfully handed it over. Junior also has the same idea. Junior also felt grief in my heart when I saw the fall of the Dragon Clan members who were training together with me. Junior can't do anything for them. I can only bring them out of the folded jade ruins and let them return to the embrace of Dragon Island. Good. Seeing Xiaohua take out the Qianquan bracelet, the Great Elder stretched out his dragon claw and took it. He looked at it with his origin sense and couldn't help but be moved. He looked left and right, then handed it over to the 2nd Elder and said, Taoist Master Xiao is indeed a trustworthy person, this old man admires you. The 2nd Elder and the others looked at the Qianquan bracelet, and their faces also revealed a sad expression. Elders! Seeing that the 2nd Elder and the others didn't speak, the Great Elder opened his mouth and said, Taoist Master Xiao is extremely benevolent to my Dragon Island, then his request, do you think we can agree to it? Of course we can. The 4th Elder was the first to express his opinion. That Long Yu was originally found by Xiaohua, and he also promised to return it after comprehending it. I don't think there's anything wrong with letting him comprehend it. The 8th Elder also opened his mouth. Moreover, Xiaohua has a true dragon on him. Cough, cough. The Great Elder coughed softly and stopped the 8th Elder from speaking. He turned his head and asked the 2nd Elder. 2nd Elder, what do you think? Let's ask that immortal friend to come out first. The second elder's expression didn't change as he replied. Good. The great elder nodded his head solemnly and said to Xiao Hua, Taoist Master Xiao, can you ask that true dragon to come out and meet us? Xiao Hua knew that the ugly daughter-in-law would have to meet her parents-in-law in the end. If he only molded the body of Little White Dragon, the Dragon Palace's ninth elder might not care too much. However, he molded the body of Dragon Vein Xiao Hua, such a big scene, how could the Dragon Palace's ninth elder turn a blind eye to it? Thus Xiao Hua agreed and slapped his forehead. Roar! A loud and clear dragon's roar resounded throughout the Dragon Palace. Dragon Vein Xiao Hua flew out from Xiao Hua's body. Swish! The moment Dragon Vein Xiao Hua appeared, not only was the entire Dragon Palace filled with clouds and wind, even all of the desolate catalog swayed. Countless dragons' roars flew out from within, as if they were crawling to welcome him. Following the appearance of the Dragon Palace, the dragon's might around Dragon Vein Xiao Hua's body was also emitted. It rose little by little and rushed straight to the top of the Dragon Palace. Even Dragon Vein Xiao Hua's body was also suffused with 9 colors, reflecting the sparkling and translucent dragon's horn. The brilliance sprinkled all over the Dragon Palace. Buzz! A huge rumbling sound came from the center of the Dragon Palace. The 10 stone pillars began to tremble, emitting different brilliance and fluctuations. The fluctuations and brilliance were so intense that the 9 elders of the Dragon Palace no longer dared to circle around the stone pillars. They flew away from the stone pillars and stopped in midair. Great Elder's primordial spirit had seen Dragon Vein Xiao Hua in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Unfortunately, his primordial spirit had already been destroyed in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Now that he saw Dragon Vein Xiao Hua again, his face was similarly as shocked as the other 8 great elders. While second elder was surprised, his eyes flashed with other expressions. Ao Jia greets the Holy Dragon, Ao Yi greets the Holy Dragon, Ao Bing greets the Holy Dragon, Ao Ding greets the Holy Dragon, Ao Wu greets the Holy Dragon, Ao Ji greets the Holy Dragon, Ao Gum greets the Holy Dragon, Ao Xian greets the Holy Dragon, Ao Rin greets the Holy Dragon. The 9th elder of the Dragon Palace did not dare to be negligent and bowed. 13. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.